Hi.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome. I'm sorry if you can hear the fan in the background. I am in dire need of airflow in this room. We're gonna have to just deal with the fan noise if you can hear it. I don't think you can, but who knows? Who knows?
I can't, but
yeah,
I'm also on Discord with you.
Discord crisp is different, unfortunately.
Mood.
Very much a mood. Lila is trying to figure out how to pronounce something that she's going to be talking about.
I'm gonna roll with what we found, man.
I think you're good.
Man, these letters. These languages. Wee. That is something else. That is. Oh, get rid of my little. My little Lord help me, I can't with these names. Ugh. Yeah, I had to make coffee because I took a muscle relaxer. Nordic and Slavic languages are whack. Yes! This was so difficult! Oh my goodness! Ugh. Hopefully my tracking's okay.
It looks actually perfect. It actually looks better.
I'm not wearing glasses right now.
Oh, okay, that's why.
I'm not wearing glasses,
I'm
wearing contacts, so that's probably why.
Yeah, that's why. I was gonna say, it looks just as good or better, that's why.
Yeah, I was gonna mess with it beforehand, but... Man! My sister came by with food, and I took that muscle relaxer, full stomach and muscle relaxer, I was out.
Yeah. Yup.
They close tomorrow, so...
I'm dog sitting. My sister and niece are both gone, so I'm dog sitting the two little rats. So I was streaming a little bit, and then I stopped streaming so I could feed them, but they didn't want to eat, so then it was like, come on, guys, eat! Because I can't leave the food out because one of the dogs steals the other dog's food. So you have to watch them the whole time. Guys, you get it together, please.
Little food thieves?
Yeah, Charlie is a food thief. So then, I was upstairs and my grandma made me turkey taquitos. They were delicious.
Woo!
We had a turkey roast.
Oh, I had a poke bowl for the first time.
Ooh! I've always wanted to try one of those. It's just a lot of veggies and stuff, right? Mixed together.
Yeah, you know that little place by my apartment that has boba? Because they do pokeballs and stuff as well. And she told me she was getting one and asked if I wanted one since, I'm right here.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll try it. And it's actually really good, but I'm too full, man. I was not able to finish that thing. Too full.
I want to try one, but I haven't been to the place by you yet. I still haven't.
Really?
Yeah, no.
I got a iced coffee too from there.
Ooh.
So I've had a lot of caffeine to try to combat the muscle relaxer. The funny thing is when I was taking them, because I can take it twice a day, right? When I was taking them daily for health reasons I had not that long ago, I kind of got immune to it, and I wasn't even sleepy anymore. But after not taking them in so long, oh my god, it kicked my butt. Whew. Funny how that can work, you know?
Yeah.
We were watching BTS on Hot Ones. It was so good. So good.
I haven't watched it
They
yet.
They are. Oh my god. Cookie's just like.
Hi, Ray.
Acting like it doesn't affect him at all. Ugh, I love them. I love BTS. Imagine having to pay to see. Yeah, it's not fun to have to pay to see. Ugh.
Yesterday, I had like such a scary moment because because the dogs are like really loud yappers at night and they bark at like every noise. I haven't been sleeping very well. Mm-hmm. And yesterday, I came downstairs and all of a sudden, my eyes I could not see anything. They were like blurry. Like I could not see anything, read anything. I was like, am I having a stroke? Because that's like a sign that you're having a stroke. And I was like, am I getting a headache? Am I dying right now?
Dang.
General anxiety and like any type of health issue, it just doesn't work. Like as soon as something is wrong with me, I'm like, I'm dying right now. Like, and then I start having more anxiety because I think I'm dying. I think I was just sleep deprived. So yeah, but I was freaking out. I could not see anything.
Understandable.
God. Yeah. But, you know.
Woo! Sorry.
Things happen.
If I yawn a lot, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I'm going to yawn a lot too. Like I said, I'm sleep deprived. I think I slept 4 hours.
Jeez.
Last night. Before that, I slept 4 hours. Plus a 2-hour nap before my interview at the job place because I was like, I can't go to this interview this sleep deprived. Because the night before I slept 3 hours. So I was like, yeah, no, I gotta take a nap. So I took a 2-hour nap and that helped a lot. But yeah, no, I haven't slept at all. Like, well, don't worry. Dang. We're both gonna be yawning. It's fine.
It's okay.
And my stories I don't think are gonna be that long.
I was gonna say, I have one that's kind of long. I tried to put the timestamps next to mine.
Yeah, I saw that.
Don't know if you saw it.
I have no idea how long mine are. So I can't tell you. One of them I actually have like a picture book that I'm gonna flip through with it. That I'll put on stream and share to you. But
oh, that's cute.
Yeah. And then the other one is just one I'll read out. But the one I'll read out is pretty short. I probably won't.
Okay. Yeah, since I'm kind of doing cold reads, I didn't even think about pictures because I personally don't even know what's in the story. Not really.
Yeah. Well, like the two that I picked are just like figures, like legendary figures. So I picked stories about them, but I also have pictures of them as like what they are.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I did put, like, just in case, I did find, like, a backup story. I also put links to all mine because the website I found I really liked. It has a ton, of stories. And then I
definitely think we could do, like, several episodes on just these two. Because, like I said to you off stream, Slavic is, like, one of the biggest groups of countries, and Nordic has a bunch of countries too, so we could do a bunch of different episodes.
I'm surprised we haven't done this sooner.
I know. Honestly, I never really thought about it, but
same. Or it's like I feel like some of it is stuff we've covered before.
Yeah.
But didn't really know because Hans Christian Andersen pops up a lot in the Nordic stuff. Yeah. I was like, I didn't realize that fell under Nordic. Nordic territory.
Yeah.
Cool, now I know. Interesting. No idea.
I will find some pictures for yours while you're talking about your first thing so we can have.
Okay. And then like the thing that I don't think I got a chance to tell you, what I have at the end, like possible shoutouts, those were just things that someone in a blog who was writing about lore, she was referencing these stories that have like similar things to other fairy tale stories that people might have heard of. So that's what that is. That's not the actual stories. It's just a little summary of like what would stuff that people might have heard.
Okay. Yeah.
From the because I know I had it like possible shoutouts, but those aren't like the actual stories. Those are just little quips. So I wanted to let you know that before we got started. Dude, I cannot with these stars.
Yeah, my pronunciation.
And by that I mean with these names.
Will be probably better because mine, I literally like found the pronunciation and wrote it out phonetically for the stories too. So hopefully.
That's such a good idea.
But Lila's going to freeball it is what they call it.
Cold. Yeah, I'm cold reading this. Outside of the facts. The facts I read, I like, re-summarized all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like that, but the actual stories themselves. Cold read, here we're going for it.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be awesome. I believe in you.
It's because I hate myself.
It's gonna be fine.
I hope so. Oh, I'm warming. Okay.
Where did I put? Oh, there you are. Podcast. I couldn't find podcast for a second. There we go.
Mood. Me all the time. Me all the time.
Alright, we should probably do our
intro.
Oh, and I am accidentally have a sweater on.
I was gonna say, nice sweater. Looks cozy.
My keys for my delete button make the sweater happen, and I was trying to delete something. Rude.
Oh, bro. What's the word? Crap. My mind. Oh, the weather has been so crazy going from like weather to freaking hot.
Yeah,
I'm like so
it was hot today. It was hot.
It was hot today. I was so annoyed because literally the other day I was like freezing.
Yeah, we had to cover all the plants with blankets and stuff outside because there was a frost warning, and yeah, because all the flowers that are blooming now, when it gets super cold, all of a sudden they'll die. So we had to cover everything with sheets and blankets and that stuff.
I've heard a lot of people lately talking about needing to cover like their gardens and stuff because of the weather.
Midwestern
it's
weather.
So stupid. It sucks. Yeah.
It does.
I can't imagine what it's like for the farmers right now.
No. All right, I am ready when you are.
Okay. Oh, what were ya?
My opening's short and sweet.
Whew. Okay, go ahead.
Welcome back, Geek Novas, to this week's episode of Series of Geektastic Events. I'm your host, Sero.
And I'm your other host, Lila. Today we're venturing into the haunting and mystical worlds of Nordic and Slavic mythology.
From the roots of Yggdrasil to iconic figures like Baba Yaga, we will dive in and learn about the folklore of these two iconic regions.
Grab a drink and get comfy.
Let's step into the legends. Ooh. I wish I had creepy music.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's
It's time for a Lila history lesson.
ooh, sorry. Let me switch docs. Okay. Woo! Sorry, I'm so tired.
You're
I
fine.
feel like my energy is like just gone. It is like, whoo,
It's fine.
not
It's fine.
there. Okay. Nordic folklore shares many common threads across the region, stretching across northern Europe. Oh, I wish there was a map now. Oh well.
Ooh, I could get Nordic map and Slavic map. Yeah. Keep
That would
talking.
be pretty cool.
Yeah, keep
If
talking
you
and
could
I'll
if you could
find something.
work your magic.
Yeah.
Okay. Nordic folklore shares many common threads across the region, stretching across northern Europe, including Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and their surrounding territories. Okay, just a quick thing. I cannot. I hate this. I hate this and I hate myself. But I cannot think of Iceland without thinking about Trump, and I hate myself for that. Ooh, map.
Map.
Oh, guess what? Oh my god. Okay, real quick. I promise. This is real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
So I have an app. I have an app. Okay. And with the app, I have an animal that I'm connected to.
Okay.
And each animal, so it's this company that sells bracelets and it also sells plushies.
Okay.
And each bracelet and or plushie you buy is connected to an animal. And a bunch of like wildlife, what are they called? The things that protect wildlife?
Reservation or preservation.
Yeah, a bunch of those, including like marine life, non-marine life, and a bunch of zoos,
Mhm.
like big name zoos. Um, they're a part of this program.
Okay.
And so with each bracelet, you get an animal with a tracker. And so not only do you get a cute bracelet, but you get a little animal friend that they named, and it tracks the animal, your animal for you. And I just got two more. I originally got a dolphin from my manager
Mm-hmm.
because she had like an advent calendar with a bunch of them, so she was passing them out.
Oh, okay.
So my first one and how I was introduced to it was from her and my little dolphin friend. His name is Sam. Now I don't know if Sam died.
Oh.
Don't know if Sam died
Oh no.
or if his tracker apparently, especially with like marine life ones,
Yeah.
the trackers can like fall off or they can stop working and start working a few months later.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Um so it's not like uncommon. They just reassign you a different animal friend when that happens. So I started off with a dolphin named Sam, and because I his thing is like not working or whatever,
Mm.
they gave me a dolphin named Wilbur.
Wilbur. What
Wilbur,
a great
and
name.
he's over in the area of what you have pulled up. Like he's over by Sweden.
Oh. Even your
And then the
dolphin
two I
knew.
just yeah, and then the two I just got. One of them's a whale. I got a purple whale bracelet, and that one's name is Spen, and he's also near Sweden. They're like really close to each other on the map, and I'm like, oh my god, Wilbur and Spen. And then I have a red panda one that's in this pretty black rose cord like mix.
Mm-hmm.
And my red panda's name is Paru, and she's in Nepal,
Oh,
like the
okay.
border of Nepal. And she actually has, instead of like a tagging like chip thing, she has a collar, a GPS collar, and I love it. I love my little animal friends, and I love it gives you videos, it gives you like their little bios and pictures and words, and you can just track them on the map. And oh my god, I love them. But yeah, the whole thing was Spin and Wilbur are both host by Sweden and stuff. And that is my last. I promise. That was the last thing.
Your last tangent.
Yeah, but it like actually went with it, you know, like my little wheel.
Yeah.
Friends. Oh, okay.
Lila.
One modern gateway into this rich world comes from Foster and Cummings' stories, tales from Norse mythology, which turn dense ancient myths into captivating stories that could spark a child's imagination. They believed Norse mythology was so full of moral depth that it could rival and even surpass Greek myths in teaching lessons about courage, wisdom, and character. Dude, don't be surprised if I skip certain things because I'm like,
It's fine.
Morality is indeed a common thread in Nordic folklore. Good traits like honesty, hard work, kindness, and kindness are praised and rewarded, while faults are punished, sometimes sharply, sometimes gently. Oh boy, are they. Peasants earn the respect of gods and a peaceful afterlife by living simple and faithfully. Material wealth is rarely prized. An honest tongue and a faithful heart carry far more value. Gratitude and humility are central, and the age-old lessons, pride goeth before a fall, echoes throughout many tales. Some of these stories have traveled far beyond Scandinavia. Chances are you've heard of the three Billy Goats Gruff, the giant who had no heart in his body, the Emperor's New Clothes, the Fir Tree, the Little Mermaid, or the Little Match Girl, etc., etc. All these stories were born from the Nordic oral traditions passed down for generations before, finding a place in books and culture worldwide. Yay! So, real quick, briefly, it's not going to be quick, but briefly, I'm just going to touch a little bit on like Danish folklore, Finnish, Icelandic, Nordic, and Swedish before we kind of get into stories and stuff. Just like small little backgrounds about like what's the word? Kind of where oh man, now I can't think of what it's called. Like for example, some of them are more nature based, some of them are more like maybe mythological based, stuff like that basically. What each one of them kind of, focuses on. There we go. So, and personally, my stories for today, mine are more Nordic, I'm pretty sure Norwegian based. So, but I do have a bunch of others like in the queue. Like you, I don't really know how fast or slow we're gonna get through it, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Danish. Denmark's folklores have deep roots in Norse mythology and the old Scandinavian tales. With its endless coastline and over 400 islands, it's no wonder that Danes have always been a nation of sailors and sea traders. Their love of the sea didn't just shape their lives, it shaped their stories. Folk tales from Denmark are full of local customs, little anecdotes, and saying that feel uniquely Danish. You probably know some of these stories thanks to Christian Andersen.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Didn't we do... Did we cover him? Or did we just...
I think we just talked about him when we did fairy tales. When we talked about, like...
Okay. That might have been it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have kind of a little bit talked about him before. Huge name when it comes to fairy tales, you know?
Yeah.
His fairy tales often borrowed from Norse gods and goddesses, sprinkling in subtle pagan rituals, even though they were told in a Christian context. It's like a glimpse into a country in transition where old beliefs meet new ones. For centuries, these tales lived in oral tradition, whispered from one generation to the next. It wasn't until the 19th century that they were written down, both to preserve Denmark's cultural history and to shape a shared sense of identity for the nation. Ooh, okay. Finish! Finish. It's
Finish!
We're finished! Folk tales have a special charm. They're often warm, simple stories about bravery, kindness, and living a good life. Back in the day, many of these tales were meant for adults, but over time, they were adapted into children's stories, keeping the heart of the lessons intact. Animals and nature take center stage in these stories. Some were just for fun, but many also taught kids about the dangers lurking in the forest or shared important societal values. Though enchanted animals or kind-hearted farmers, oh my god, not though. So enchanted animals and kind-hearted farmers, virtues like honesty, moderation, and simplicity were celebrated, while boastful or greedy characters were gently shown the error of their ways. What really sets Finnish folklore apart is the way it draws you into the landscape. You can almost stroll down a country lane and meet a family still making jam on the way their ancestors did. Or spot a mountain ash tree by the wayside from a time long ago. The stories often weave in local customs, games, and words that might seem small, but for those paying attention, they offer a vivid window into 19th century Finnish pleasant life. One notable collector of these tales, Parker Fillmore, put together Mighty Mikko, a book of Finnish fairy tales, preserving the magic and wisdom of these enchanting stories for the generations to enjoy. Yay!
Yay!
Finish!
Finish! We're finished with Finnish!
Woo! Also, real quick, before I keep getting into it, outside of like the blog I was kind of talking about earlier and some other sources, I want to give a shout out to one that I used for most of this, because like their fairy tales were insane, like how much they like had on there, story wise. It's literally called fairytales.com, but with the Z instead of an S.
Okay.
So, just had to say that because, yeah, they had so many stories on there. It was crazy. Icelandic fairy tales! Woo! Icelandic folk tales have a slightly different flavor. They often serve as little warnings, reminding children about the unpredictable and sometimes dangerous world around them. But they're also enchanting and curious, and many don't come with a neat moral of the story. Sometimes the point is just to entertain, or to explain a custom, a ritual, or a curious fact of life. They're clever, humorous, and charming, giving a peek into Icelandic habits, superstitions, and ways of seeing the world. Like other Nordic countries, Iceland experienced a wave of folklore collecting in the 19th century, inspired by the popularity of the Brothers Grimm. Nations across Europe were eager to preserve their stories, build a sense of national identity, and encourage patriotic pride. In Iceland, much of what we know today, oh god, comes thanks to, oh my lord, J- I'm gonna say this the most English way my mind is like
Yeah.
reading this possible. John
Here, let me look.
Arneson and
Yeah. Jean Arneson.
Magnus Grimson?
Mhm.
Grims?
Grimson. Yeah.
Yep. Who devoted themselves to gathering these tales. A few Icelandic stories even made their way into the fairy books of Scottish collector Andrew Lang, helping share their magical corner of the world with a wider audience.
Also, we have a hydrate and a stretch. And hello, Dre. Welcome in.
Hey, Dre! Woo!
Hello again, Dre.
These the next one is the one that I was trying to pronounce earlier.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
This is gonna have a time.
Yay! Norwegian fairy tale!
Woohoo!
Lovely. And I also, real quick, I love that for most of them, it's like the 19th century when, like, they started, like, actually writing the stories down, you know?
Yeah.
It's all, because, like, you know, it all kind of flows across the map, so I like that it just flows across in that way, too, if that makes sense. Okay. In the 1300s, the Black Death swept through Norway, claiming the lives of 2/3 of the population. The country was left economically and politically weakened. And with so many oh my god, clergymen,
Clergymen.
clergymen, Jesus, why was that hard for me?
It's alright.
English word. The country was left economically and politically weakened, and with many of the clergy, you get it, men gone, the very people who knew how to write Norwegian stories, history, and knowledge had to survive through oral tradition for another 250 to 300 years, while the rest of Europe was putting poetry on paper. Norway relied entirely on spoken word to pass down its rich culture. Fast forward to the 1800s when authors Peter Kristen, oh god, oh god, Asbjørnsen,
That was pretty good.
Man, I didn't get Mo's full name. I didn't look into that. We're just gonna call him Mo. We're gonna pretend like the rest of his name isn't weird.
Jørgen Ingebretsen Mo.
Yeah, that. Set out across the country to collect these tales. Their work became a cornerstone of Norwegian literature and folklore, earning international recognition and creating extraordinary collections of fairy tales. They called themselves compliers and retellers, carefully shaping a written Norwegian language. Inspired by the Brothers Grimm, they simplified the many complex dialects without losing the charm and uniqueness of the stories. Norwegian folk tales are vivid and alive, set among glaciers, fjords, and forests where trolls lurk and spirits dwell. They're not just gentle bedtime stories, they can be eerie, grotesque, and thrilling. Wild animals like bears, wolves, foxes, and salmon often aid the kind and industrious, revealing the secrets of the land or the schemes of trolls and giants. And of course, no Norwegian fairy tale would be complete without princes and princesses, beggars who rise to kingship, and wicked stepmothers who get their comeuppance. These stories celebrated unlikely heroes, clever underdogs, magical reversals, and the quest for fortune, showing that courage, wit, and kindness often trump over the most daunting odds. And just a little bit about Ashbjörnsen
Mm-hmm.
and Mo. Um, they were more than just authors. They were passionate preservers of Norway's stories. Both men had started collecting folk tales on their own, driven by curiosity and love for the culture. Ashbjörnsen gathered stories while working as a private tutor, and Mo collected tales during his holidays while tutoring. Eventually, they joined forces, combining their collections into the famous volumes known today as Norse. This really big, this one book, volumes of this book, okay? And when this book was published between 1841 and 1844, it was a major cultural moment for Norway. Suddenly, the country had its own folklorists cataloging the magic of its fjords, glaciers, and forests, following in the footsteps of Germany's Brothers Grimm. Ashbjörnsen, Björnsen, and Mo became household names in Norway, celebrated for their dedication and skill. One edition, East of the Sun and West of the Moon, even featured beautiful colors illustrated by K. Night Niceland. The duo's genius lay in making the tales accessible. They simplified the stories without losing their Norwegian spirit, bringing these magical adventures to audiences across Europe. If you want to experience them today, there's even audiobooks of East of the Sun, West of the Moon, and other tales by the duo are available on the website I was promoting just a little bit ago.
Oh, okay.
Fairy Tales. They actually have like an audio app and everything, so you can like listen on there if
That's
you really
cool.
want to. Yeah. And lastly, Swedish fairy tales. As Protestantism spread through Sweden in the mid 1500s, children's stories began to take on a new twist. Trolls, giants, and magical adventures were widely popular, but these tales also started to carry Christian values, teaching lessons in morality and virtue. Mythology, oh my lord, mythology didn't disappear entirely. Trolls still wandered the forest, but now they feared church bells and couldn't harm anyone carrying a cross, even if it was made out of a loaf of bread. Oh, that sounds like some vampire type stuff right there.
Yeah.
Swedish fairy tales are known for being straightforward and sincere. They mix curious, almost fantastical elements. A boy born from an egg, or a clever fisherman's daughter outsmarting a sea monster, with timeless lessons about manners and character. The greedy and boastful rarely win, while those with honesty, courage, and a good heart often live happily ever after. Giants help the poor and humble, and the ordinary farm girls sometimes become a princess. Some tales, like The Lame Dog, show connections to classic stories like Cupid and Psyche, but most are purely Scandinavian, shaped by Nordic culture. Clara
Trope.
Stroebe? Oh god.
Droid.
Also, we're just gonna call her Clara.
Yeah.
She collected and edited a number of these stories, publishing them in the Swedish fairy tale book, preserving a treasure trove of uniquely Swedish magic for generations to enjoy. You can try to say that name if you want.
No. I'm okay.
Okay.
I don't know how to
And
say it
that
either.
is I love it. That is my spiel on Nordic folklore. Um, I will say that some of these stories that were brought up,
Mhm.
um, obviously some of them I know, like Billy Goat's Gruff or whatever,
Yeah.
the Three Billy Goats, you know? But then there's also ones that I personally haven't heard, like, where was it? Um, crap. I don't remember. Oh, The Giant Who Had No Heart.
Hmm.
I'm actually gonna be reading that today, but I like that. I did not recognize that, but it seems to be like a, a well-known one, I guess. Um, but I love how all of them are kind of like they have similarities and yet they have differences, and I like that like giants and trolls and stuff
Hmm.
seem to be very prevalent in some of these. So, yeah, let's get into it. I will actually go ahead and start with my second one first because I literally was just talking about it. Oh, since I just talked about it, we're gonna read The Giant Who Had No Heart in His Body.
Okay. Woo! Let me get
Yay!
that picture up.
Yeah, I was very interested. Again, I'm doing a cold read, so I've not read this.
Yeah.
So bear with me if there are very like Norwegian type words
It's fine.
that I
It's
struggle
fine.
with.
We'll figure it out.
Man, I struggled with English words that I knew and wrote down on that
Yeah.
doc. Like,
Yeah.
okay. Neat. Let me get a sip of water. That was coffee. Hold up. Okay. The giant who had no heart in his body. Once upon a time, there was a king who had 7 sons, and he loved them so much that he could never bear to be without them all at once. But one must always be with him. Now, when they were grown up, 6 were set off to woo, but as for the 4 youngest, his father kept him at home, and the others were to bring back a princess for him to the palace. So the king gave the 6 the finest clothes you've ever set eyes on, so fine that the light gleamed from them a long way off. And each had his horse, which cost many £100, and so they set off. Now, when they had been to many places, they had seen many princesses. At last they came to a king who had 6 daughters, such lovely king's daughters. They had never seen, and so they fell to wooing them. Each one and went. Okay, hold on a second. I don't know if it's like translation stuff or because it's old, but
Yeah.
the way it's like written is like throwing me off a little bit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I get
If
it.
it sounds weird, it's like throwing me off the way it's written. Okay, I just had to put that out there. Okay. Uh God. This like this one sentence is like a whole paragraph in itself. Okay, let me restart that. Okay. Now, when they had been to many places and seen many princesses, at last they came to a king who had 6 daughters. Such lovely king's daughters they had never seen, and so they fell to wooing them, each one, and when they had got them for sweethearts, they set off home again. But they quite wait. Okay. But they forgot that they were to bring back with them a sweetheart for Boots. Boot! Boot! Boots! Their brother. His name is Boots. Who stayed at home, for they were overhead in years in love with their own sweethearts. But when they had gone a good bit on their way, they passed by a steep hillside, like wall, where the giant's house was. And there the giant came out, and set his eyes upon them, and turned them all into stone, princes and princesses, and all. Now the king waited and waited for his 6 sons, but the more he waited, the longer they stayed away. So he fell into great trouble, and said he should never know what it was to be glad again. And if I had not you left, he said to Boots, I would live no longer, so full of sorrow am I for the loss of your brothers. Well, but now I've been thinking to ask your leave to set out and find them again. That's what I'm thinking of, said Boots. Nay, nay, said his father. They leave you shall never get, for then you would stay away too. But Boots had set his heart upon it. Go he would, and he begged and prayed so long that the king was forced to let him go. Now, you must know, the king had no other horse to give Boots, and an old broken down jade, for his 6 other sons had their train and carried off all his horses, but Boots did not care a pin for that. He sprang up on his sorry old steed. Farewell, father, he said. I'll come back, never fear, and like enough I shall bring my 6 brothers back with me. And with that, he rode off. So when he had ridden a while, he came to a raven, which lay in the road and flapped its wings, and was not able to get out of the way. It was so starved. Oh, dear friend, said the raven, give me a little food, and I'll help you again at your utmost need. I haven't much food, said the prince, and I don't see how you'll ever be able to help me much, but I still can spare you a little. I see you want it. So he gave the raven some of the food he had brought with him. Now, when he had gone a bit further, he came to a brook, and in the brook lay a great salmon, which had got upon a dry place and dashed itself about, and could not get into the water again. Oh, dear friend, said the salmon to the prince, shove me out into the water again, and I'll help you again at your utmost need. Well, said the prince, the help you'll give me will not be great, I dare say, but it's a pity you shall lie there and choke. And with that, he shot the fish out into the stream again. After that, he went a long, long way, and there met him a wolf, which was so famished that it lay and crawled along the road on its belly. Dear friend, do let me have your horse, said the wolf. I'm so hungry, the wind whistles through my ribs. I've had nothing to eat these 2 years. No, said Boots, this will never do. First I came to a raven, and I was forced to give him my food. Next I came to a salmon, and him I had to help into the water again. And now you'll have my horse? It can't be done, and it can't, or then I should have nothing to ride on. Nay, dear friend, but you can help me, said the Greylegs, the wolf. You can ride upon my back, and I'll help you again in your utmost need." "Well, the help I shall get from you will not be great, I'll be bound," said the prince. "But you may take my horse, since you are in such need." So when the wolf had eaten the horse, Boots took the bit and put it into the wolf's jaw, and laid the saddle on his back. And now the wolf was so strong, after what he had got inside, that he set off with the prince like nothing. So fast he had never ridden before. "When we have gone a bit farther," said Greylegs, "I'll show you the giant's house." So after a while they came to it. "See, here is the giant's house," said the wolf, "and see, here are your 6 brothers whom the giant turned into stone, and see, here are their 6 brides, and away yonder is the door, and in that door you must go." "Nay, but I daren't go in," said the prince. "He'll take my life." "No, no," said the wolf. "When you get in you'll find a princess, and she'll tell you what to do to make an end of the giant. Only mind and do as she bids you." Well, Boots went in, but truth to say, he was very much afraid. When he came in, the giant was away, but in one of the rooms sat the princess, just as the wolf had said, and so lovely a princess Boots had never yet set eyes on. "Heaven help you! Whence have you come?" said the princess as she saw him. "It will surely be your death, and no one can make an end of the giant who lives here, for he has no heart in his body." "Well, well," said Boots, "but now that I am here, I may as well try what I can do with him, and I will see if I can't free my brothers, who are standing turned to stone out of doors, and you too I will try to save. That I will." "Well, if you must," said the princess, "and so let us see if we can't hit on a plan. Just creep under the bed yonder, and mind and listen to what he and I talk about. But pray do lie as still as a mouse." So he crept under the bed, and he had scarce got well underneath it before the giant came. "Ha!" roared the giant. "What a smell of Christian blood there is in the house." I'm sorry. Christian blood!
Yeah.
Oh, Lord! "Yes, I know there is," said the princess, "for there came a magpie flying with a man's bone, and let it fall down the chimney. I made all the haste I could get it out, but all one can do, the smell doesn't go off so soon." So the giant said no more about it, and when the night came, they went to bed. After they had lain a while, the princess said, "There is one thing I'd be so glad to ask you about, if I only dared." "What thing is that?" asked the giant. "Only where it is you keep your heart, since you don't carry it about you," said the princess. "Ah, that's a thing you've no business to ask about, but if you must know, it lies under the door sill," said the giant. "Ho!" said Boots to himself under the bed. "Then we'll soon see if we can't find it." The next morning the giant got up cruelly early, and strode off to the wood. But he was hardly out of the house before Boots and the princess set to work to look under the door-sill for his heart. But the more they dug, and the more they hunted, the more they couldn't find it. "He has balked us this time," said the princess, "but we'll try him once more." So she picked all the prettiest flowers she could find, and strewed them over the door-sill, which they had laid in its right place again. And when the time came for the giant to come home again, Boots crept under the bed. Just as he was well under, back came the giant. "Snuff, snuff!" went the giant's nose. "My eyes and limbs, what a smell of Christian blood there is in here," he said. "I know there is," said the princess, "for there came a magpie flying with a man's bone in his bill and let it fall down the chimney. I made as much haste as I could to get it out, but I dare say it's that you smell." So the giant held its peace and said no more about it. A little while after, he asked who it was that had strewed the flowers about the doorsill. "Oh, I, of course," said the princess. "And pray what's the meaning of all this?" said the giant. "Ah," said the princess, "I'm so fond of you that I couldn't help strewing them, when I knew that your heart lay under there." "You don't say so," said the giant, but after all, it doesn't lie there at all." So when they went to bed again in the evening, the princess asked the giant again where his heart was, for she said she would so like to know. "Well," said the giant, "if you must know, it lies away yonder in the cupboard against the wall." So, thought Boots and the princess, then we'll soon try to find it. The next morning, the giant was away early and strode off to the wood. And so soon he was gone, Boots and the princess were in the cupboard hunting for his heart. But the more they sought for it, the less they found it. "Well," said the princess, "we'll just try 'em once more." So she decked out the cupboard with flowers and garland, and when time came for the giant to come home, Boots crept under the bed again. Then back came the giant. "Snuff, snuff! My eyes and limbs, what a smell of Christian blood there is in here!" "I know there is," said the princess. "For a little while since there came a magpie flying with a man's bone in his bill, and let it fall down the chimney. I made all the haste I could to get it out of the house again, but after all my pains, I dare say it's that you smell." When the giant heard that, he said no more about it. But a little while after, he saw how the cupboard was all decked about with flowers and garland. So he asked who it was that had done that. Who could it be but the princess? "And pray what's the meaning of all this tomfoolery?" asked the giant. "Oh, I'm so fond of you, I couldn't help doing it when I knew that your heart lay there," said the princess. "How can you be so silly as to believe any such thing?" said the giant. "Oh yes, how could I help believing it when you say it?" said the princess. "You're a goose." "You're a goose!"
"You're a goose!"
said the giant. "Where's my heart is, you will never come." "Well," said the princess, "but for all that, 'twould be such a pleasure to know where it really lies." Then the poor giant could hold out no longer, but was forced to say, "Far, far away in a lake lies an island. On that island stands a church. In that church is a well. In that well swims a duck. In that duck there is an egg. And in that egg there lies my heart, you darling." Dang. In the morning early, while it was still true. Oh my god. Okay. In the morning early, while it was still gray dawn, the giant strode off to the woods. "Yes, now I must set off too," said Boots. "If only I knew how to find the way." He took a long, long farewell of the princess, and when he got out of the giant's door, there stood the wolf waiting for him. So Boots told him all that had happened inside the house, and said now he wished to ride to the well in the church, if he only knew the way. So the wolf bade him jump on his back. He'd soon. Okay, sorry. Hold on a second.
You're fine.
Let me highlight this so I don't get lost. Okay, there we go. So the wolf bade him, jumped on his back. He'd soon find the way. And away they went till the wind whistled after them. Over hedge and field, over hill and dale. After they had traveled many, many days, they came at last to the lake. Then the prince did not know how to get over it, but the wolf bade him only to not be afraid, but stick on. And so he jumped into the lake with the prince on his back and swam over to the island. So they came to the church, but the church keys hung high, high up on the top of the tower. And at first the prince did not know how to get them down. "You must call on the raven," said the wolf. So the prince called on the raven, and in a trice the raven came and flew up and fetched the keys. And so the prince got into the church, but when he came to the well, there lay a duck, and swam about backwards and forwards, just as the giant had said. So the prince stood and coaxed it till it came to him, and he grasped it in his hands. But just as he lifted it up from the water, the duck dropped the egg into the well. And then Boots was beside himself to know how to get it out again. "Well, now you must call on the salmon, to be sure," said the wolf. And the king's son called on the salmon, and the salmon came and fetched up the egg from the bottom of the well. Then the wolf told him to squeeze the egg, and as soon as he squeezed it, the giant screamed out. "Squeeze it again," said the wolf. And when the prince did so, the giant screamed still more piteously, and begged and prayed so prettily to be spared, saying he'd do all that the prince wished if he would only not squeeze his heart in two. "Tell him if he will restore to life again your 6 brothers and their brides, whom he has turned to stone, you'll spare his life," said the wolf. Yes, the giant was ready to do that, and he turned the 6 brothers into the king's sons again, and their brides into the king's daughters. "Now squeeze the egg in 2, said the wolf. So Boots squeezed the egg to 2 pieces, and the giant burst at once. Now when he had made an end of the giant, Boots rode back again on the wolf to the giant's house, and there stood all 6 brothers alive and merry, with their brides. Then Boots went into the hillside after his bride, and so they all set off home again to their father's house. And you may fancy how glad the old king was when he saw all 7 sons come back, each with his bride. But the loveliest bride of all is the bride of Boots, after all, said the king, and he shall sit uppermost at the table, with her by his side. So he set out and called a great wedding feast, and the mirth was both loud and long. And if they have not done fasting, why, they are still at it. The end.
Wow. This is
Lord,
interesting.
talk about
this is interesting.
Talk about old-timey wording. Jesus. Yeah.
I smelled the Christian blood.
Okay, that was hilarious. And the fact that his name was Boots got me. But I love how
this is interesting because the egg thing being his heart is related to one of my stories too. And the story in general is very much reminiscent of one of my stories. So we'll see how similar they get. But, yeah.
I will say, I'm always fascinated. I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure. And a lot of just fairy tales in general, or folklore in general, everything comes in 3s.
Yeah, 6s, 3s.
Yeah. You had 3 animals. You basically had 3 locations.
Yeah.
Always comes in 3s, which I find interesting. Don't know why, but yeah. I love that. I love that his name is Boots. I can't get over that.
Yeah, my guy has 3 sisters too.
Oh! I will say, I love, because obviously it's a fairy tale, like, kind of meant for kids. But I love how the wolf just the whole time, like, knew what to do.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you gotta do this. Oh, you gotta do this.
Yeah.
I loved it. So, but yeah, that was the giant who had no heart.
Hey.
Yay!
Yay!
Woo!
All right. Let me picture up.
I'll probably top off my coffee while you read.
Go for it.
But I'll do that in like a couple minutes.
Okay. No problem. Okay, so just like Lila did at the beginning of her little spiel there, I'm gonna talk about the region, right? So I'm doing Slavic folklore. So
Woo!
Slavs are the largest European ethno-linguistic group, and they're scattered throughout Eastern, Central, and Southeastern Europe. So this is not even the extent of the countries, but these are like the main ones. So East Slavs, we have Russians, Ukrainians, Belarusians, and then we have West Slavs, that's the Poles, the Czechs, the Slavics, the Sorbs, and then we have the South Slavs, the Bulgarian Serbs, Croats, Bosniaks, Slavonese, Macedonians, Montenegrins. I don't know that
Sounds
one.
about right.
I know Macedonian.
Sounds right.
I don't know the last one. Okay, but yeah, so that's not even all of the countries. That's like the main ones. But yeah, no, it covers a lot of area, right? So South Slavs, they actually were they the first? Yeah, they were. I think not necessarily the first, but the quickest to be Christianized or whatever, however you call that, like
Christianized. I love that. We're
influenced by Christianity. And then came East Slavs. They eventually also adopted Christianity in 988 AD. And then West Slavs, they were kind of more gradual. So there was one country that adopted or accepted Christianity in 831, another in 845, another somewhere between like 828, 863. And then Polish, they didn't accept it until 966 AD. So yeah, lots of gradual shift between what was Slavic paganism to Slavic Christianity. So,
okay,
a lot.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I find interesting, because like the shift from like say like pagan to Christianity, we've definitely talked about before, and it's influenced a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like interesting how, like, for example, Hans Christian Andersen, he had like a mix of both.
Yeah.
Like pagan influence and Christianity influence. It's just interesting how that works. You know what I mean?
Yeah. From what I could tell,
sorry, continue.
No, you're fine. From what I can tell, the Slavic side of things is very much more rooted in the paganism. Like there is obviously going to be changes and shifts in stories as time goes on, especially with the adoption of Christianity, but a lot of it is still very much rooted in paganism and gods and nature and nymphs and all of that. So yeah, it's a little bit different in that like a lot of these stories aren't going to be like I feel like a lot of the fairy tales we've read in the past have been very like, and the baby Jesus like did something or whatever. And these stories are not like that. Not like that at all. Slavic like fairy tales are kind of terrifying. Some of them are kind of terrifying. I didn't pick very scary ones. Baba Yaga, I guess you could say, is kind of terrifying, but not that much. She's probably terrifying to children, but But yeah, no,
Yeah.
they're very much rooted in paganism, in the Slavic myths and ritual practices. Like all of that is still very much rooted in their folk tales, even after spread of Christianity. Briefly,
That is
because
interesting.
I did not dive into this as Lila did because I didn't have time. I've been preparing for my
Yeah.
interview for like a week and a half, and I've been like stressed out.
Which I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I'm happy that it's over. I've got the job, and now I can. We're invading again, third time. Yes, welcome in, Rooted Wound.
Woo!
All right, so this man, who I've never heard of, he is known as the Russian version of Brothers Grimm. His name's Alexander Afanasyev, I think is how you say his name. Afanasyev. He
Okay.
published nearly 600 specifically East Slavic fairy and folk tales. And that is one of the largest collections of folk tales in the world. And it was it encompassed Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and it was published like across Russia. Some of his works, I don't know if this particular one, like the one that like the biggest collection was banned, but some of his works were banned during like the time that he lived, but were then eventually like circulated after the bans were lifted. Yeah, he had a large collection of folklore, specifically East Slavic folklore. And I'd never heard of this guy. Never heard of him. But he is known amongst the historians of like folklore and mythology as the Russian Brothers Grimm. Yeah, he's pretty cool. Pretty cool. He's the only like big folklorist that I could find that wasn't like a modern one. Cause I will say a lot of modern folklorists have really dove into Slavic folklore and are reinterpreting like stories and looking at like diving back further into paganism to kind of see what the characters were actually supposed to be. Because like Baba Yaga, she became very much rooted in like evil, negative connotations. But there's a theory, I think I talk about it a little bit later, but there's a theory that she's actually more like Mother Earth, nature, and more of a positive figure than. Yeah, this is Alexander. All right, so the first legendary figure in Slavic folklore that I wanted to talk about was Kashe the Darkness. So let me get a picture of Kashe up here. There you are. There he is, riding naked on his horse. One of his favorite pastimes. That's literally what it said. Okay, so Kashe is known for as, maybe you may have guessed from the name I presented him with, his inability to die. He is Kashe the Deathless. He is ironically most known for like his favorite, like the most famous tale, is the death of Kashe the Deathless. So he is well known for being unable to die, but also well known for dying in a story. So a little ironic there. He first appeared sometime before the 18th century in East Slavic folklore. The origin may be related to a Polovtsian leader, Khan Konchak, from the 12th century. And Konchak is said to have had an unusually long life for the time, possibly into the hundreds, which would have been very, very strange for that time period. But that's where historians speculate Kashi's immortality may stem from, that long lifespan of Konchak. His name is not said how it looks, so I'm really trying to say it how it's said, not how it looks. Okay. Kashi's spell to make himself immortal also may be a reference to a traditional Turkic amulet, which it's like a little egg-shaped amulet, and it often has arrowheads inside of them. Now, let's get into his immortality and why the egg matters. So, he is thought to be a powerful sorcerer, afraid of nothing aside from death, very much giving Voldemort, right? Voldemort's only fear was death. Feared death so much that he split his soul into 7 items, 8 unknowingly, split his soul into 7 parts, 8 unknowingly, to keep himself from dying, right? Well, Kashe is very similar in that regard. His immortality was achieved with a spell that removed his soul from his body, and he hid that piece of his soul, because it's not pieces, it's his whole soul for Kashe, but he hides this soul, geez Louise, in a needle, and he puts the needle inside an egg, and then he puts an egg in a duck, and then he puts the duck in a rabbit, and then he puts that rabbit in a locked iron or crystal chest, and then it's buried under a green oak tree on an island. So let's go over that. We have the soul. The soul is put in a needle. The needle is put in an egg. The egg is put in a duck. The duck is put in a rabbit, and the rabbit is locked in a chest that's buried under a green oak tree on an island. Dude was very adamant about hiding this piece of, or his soul, right? The island that he hides it on is thought to be the mythical Buoyan Island in the middle of the ocean. So this island has another layer of security. It is an island that appears and disappears depending on the tides and the whims of the wind gods above it. And so it's sometimes there, sometimes not. Some legends even say that this island is guarded by a dragon. So we have a lot of guarding here. We have layers of protections going all the way to a dragon, right? Very Voldemort-esque.
Dang.
Definitely think Kashe did it better than Voldemort, but very reminiscent of that. I'm definitely wondering if she who be not be named got some of that stuff from the story. So, further, when someone digs up the chest and opens it, Kashe has spelled it to release the rabbit, and the rabbit flees. So the rabbit flees, and then if they kill the rabbit, the duck that comes out of the rabbit also flees, and so on and so forth, right? So, all of this to say that it was only once a hero got through all of those protections, got through all of those layers of animals and items, and got to the egg, that Kashe's life was truly in danger. And according to some myths, possessing the egg was even enough to control the sorcerer, whether that be by magic or just because once you have the egg, you're able to break the egg and needle. So he would have to do whatever you tell him to. So if the egg broke, the needle broke. With it and with them, hundreds of years of age would rain down on Kashe in a single instant, destroying the sorcerer with what gets us all in the end, time. I came up with that line, and I felt it was very poetic. I don't know.
I love it.
Yeah. And so, like I said earlier, most famous story about him is when he dies. So let's talk about that, right? This guy dies, right? The tale begins with a young man, Ivan Sarovich. There we go. Sorry. I got a little untwisted. And this is how Kashe dies. Let me get the story up and let me get Lila on here.
I like that picture.
Yes, that is. Oh, yeah. I didn't mention it really in my notes, but I saw this on several different websites. Kashe was known for riding naked on his horse around. Like, that was what he was known for. So that's what this picture is. This is Kashe riding around naked on his horse, just free balling it, you know? That's how he lives his life. Okay, so let me get you on here. And let me...
I love the pictures.
Try to make it a little bigger for you guys. Sorry if you guys can't see. Okay, so this story is Maria Mrevna, the lovely Tsarevna. There we go. The rhyming. And this is a book that I found on Internet Archive that is a tale of one of the most popular tales of Kashe, which is his death.
Yeah, the pictures look really pretty.
Yeah, no, the pictures are very pretty. All right, so in a certain tsardom, in a certain realm, there once lived the son of a tsar. Tsarevich Ivan by name, and his 3 sisters. The first was called Tsarevna Maria, the second Tsarevna Olga, and the third Tsarevna Anna. Their mother and father were dead. On their deathbed they said to their son, "Do not keep your sisters long unwed, but marry them off to whoever comes to woo them first." Ivan buried his parents, and to try and wear off his sorrow, he went with his sisters for a walk in their green garden. All of a sudden, a black cloud came over the sky. A terrible storm was about to break. "Come, sisters, let us go home," said Ivan. No sooner had they reached the palace than the thunder crashed, the ceiling was rent in two, and a falcon flew into the chamber. He struck the floor, turned into a tall and handsome youth, and said, "Good morrow to you, Ivan. Many is the time I came to your house a guest, but now I am here as a wooer, for I wish to ask for the hand of your sister, Tsarevna Maria, in marriage. If my sister likes you well and good, for I'll not force her will, she can marry you if so she chooses." And Tsarevna Maria, being willing, the falcon married her and carried her off to his. Day followed day, and hour followed hour, and a whole year went by before ever they knew it. Ivan and his 2 sisters went for a walk in the green garden, and again a black cloud covered the sky. The lightning flared, and a fierce wind began to blow. "Come, sisters, let us go home," said Ivan. No sooner had they reached the palace than the thunder crashed. The roof caved in, the ceiling was rent in two, and an eagle came flying in. He struck the floor and turned into a tall and handsome youth. "Good morrow, Ivan," said he. "Many is the time I came here as a guest, but now I come as a wooer." And he asked for the hand of Tsarevna Olga in marriage. Ivan said, "If Tsarevna Olga likes you, you can have her, for I would not force her will." Tsarevna Olga gave her consent and married the eagle, and the eagle caught her up and carried her off to his tsardom. Another year passed by, and Tsarevich Ivan said to his younger sister, "Come, sister, let us take a walk in the green garden." And they walked a little while, and again a black cloud covered the sky. The lightning flared, and a fierce wind began to blow. "Let us go home, sister," said. They came home, and before they had time to sit down, the thunder crashed, the ceiling was rent in two, and a raven came flying in, struck the floor, and turned into a tall and handsome youth. The other 2 were likely young men enough, but this one was even more so. "Many is the time I came here as a guest, but now I come as a wooer," said the raven. Let me have Tsarevna Anna in marriage. My sister is free to do as she wills. If she likes you, she can marry you." So Tsarevna Anna married the raven, and he carried her off to his tsardom. Tsarevich Ivan was left all by himself. He lived alone for a whole year, and he missed his sisters very much. I think I shall go and look for my sister. He made ready and set off on his journey. He rode, and by he came to a field where a whole host of warriors lay rooted and dead. "If there is a man left alive among you, let him answer me," Ivan called out, "for I wish to know who it was that vanquished this mighty host." And the only living man there replied, "This whole mighty host was vanquished by Marya Morevna, the lovely Tsarevna." Ivan rode on, and after a while he came upon a number of white tents set up in a field, and there, coming out to meet him, was Marya Morevna. "Good morrow, Tsarevich. I am just going to call him Ivan, guys. I can't say that word. I can't say it. Tsarevich. Okay. Ivan.
Dude, I feel that so hard.
"Good morrow, Ivan," said she. "Whither are you bound? Do you come of your own free will or on another's errand?" Ivan, in reply, said, "Hale and hearty young men like myself never go anywhere but of their own free will." "Well, if you are in no great haste, then be my guest and bide in my tent a while." This Ivan was pleased to do. For 2 days and 2 nights he was Marya Morevna's guest, and so well did they like one another that they decided to marry then and there. Thus it was Ivan and Marya Morevna, the lovely Tsarevna, became man and wife, and he went with her to her far-off tsardom. They lived together for a time, till one day Marya Morevna bethought her of setting out again for the war. She left her palace and everything in it in the care of Ivan, and pointing out a room to him, the door of which was locked fast, said, "Go all over and look after everything, but mind you never look into this one room." But Ivan's curiosity got the better of him, and as soon as Marya Morevna had left, he hurried to the room and opened the door. He looked in, and what did he see but Kashi the Deathless hanging there, chained to the wall with 12 chains. Kashi the Deathless, in pleading tones, said, "Take pity on me, Ivan, and give me some water to drink. For 10 years have I been held here, and such have been my torments as cannot be described. I have had no food and nothing to drink, and my throat is all dry and parched." Ivan gave him a whole pailful of water to drink, and he drank it down and began to plead for more. "One pail is not enough. I'm still thirsty, so do let me have another," he begged. Ivan gave him a second pail of water, and Kashi gulped it down and asked for a third, but when he had finished his third pailful, got back all of his former strength, and he shook his chains and broke all 12 of them. "Thank you, Ivan," said Kashi the Deathless. "Now you will never see Marya Morevna no more than you can see your own ears." And he flew out the window as swiftly as a whirlwind, caught up Marya Morevna, the lovely Tsarevna, on the road, and carried her off with him. Dude is creepy looking. Is a creepy guy. Ivan wept long and bitterly, and then he made ready and set off in search of Marya Morevna. "Come what may, I shall find her," he said. A day passed by, and a second, and at dawn on the 3rd day, Ivan saw a beautiful palace before him. Beside the palace there grew an oak, and on its bough there perched a falcon. The falcon flew off the oak, struck the ground, and turned into a hansom. "Ah, my own dear brother-in-law, I am indeed glad to see you," he cried. Hearing him, Marya ran out to meet her brother. She welcomed him joyously, asked after his health, and began to tell him how she lived and fared. Ivan spent 3 days with them, and then he said, "I cannot stay with you longer. I'm seeking my wife, Marya Morevna, the lovely Tsarevna." "It won't be easy to find her," the falcon told him. "Leave your silver spoon here just in case. We shall look at it and think of you." Ivan left his silver spoon with the falcon and set off on his journey. He rode for a day, he rode for another day, and at dawn on the 3rd day he saw a palace. It was even more beautiful than the falcon's. Beside the palace there grew an oak, and on its bough there perched an eagle. The eagle flew off the tree, struck the ground, and turning into a handsome youth cried, "Come, Tsarevna Olga, get up, for our own dear brother is here." Hearing him, Tsarevna Olga came running out of the palace. She began to kiss and embrace Ivan, to ask after his health, to tell him how she lived and fared. Ivan spent 3 days with them, and then he said, "I cannot bide with you longer. I am seeking my wife, Maria Marevna, the lovely Tsarevna." Said the eagle, "It will not be easy to find her. Leave your silver fork with us. We shall look at it and think of you." So Ivan left his silver fork with them and went on his way. He rode for a day, he rode for another day, and at dawn on the 3rd day he saw a palace which far surpassed the first 2 in beauty and splendor. Beside the palace there grew an oak, and on its bough there perched a raven. The raven flew off the oak, struck the ground, and turning into a handsome youth cried, "Tsarevna Anna, make haste and come, our own dear brother is here." Hearing him, Tsarevna Anna came running out of the palace. She welcomed Ivan, joyously kissed and embraced him, and asked after his health, and began to tell him how she lived and fared. He spent 3 days with them, and then he said, "I must bid you goodbye, for I am off to seek my wife, Maria Marevna, the lovely Tsarevna." The raven in reply said, "It will not be easy to find her. Leave your silver snuff box with us. We shall look at it and think of you." Ivan gave him the snuff box, and taking leave of them both, went on his way. A day passed by, and another, and on the 3rd day, Ivan finally found his beloved. When she saw him, Maria Marevna threw her arms around Ivan and burst into tears. "Ah, Ivan, why did you not listen to me, but open the room where Koshchei the Deathless was kept, and let him out? Forgive me, Maria, and let bygones be bygones. Come away with me while Koshchei the Deathless is nowhere to be seen, and perhaps he will not overtake us." So they made ready and rode away together, and Koshchei the Deathless was out hunting. It was evening by the time he turned his way homewards, and his godly horse stumbled under him. "Why do you stumble, you old bag of bones?" he said. "Is it that you sense some misfortune?" The horse in reply said, "Ivan came, and he carried off Maria Marevna. Can we catch them up? If we were to sow some wheat, wait till it ripens, reap and thresh it and grind it into flour, bake 5 ovenfuls of bread, and not go after them till we had eaten it all up, we should still catch them up." So Koshchei the Deathless sent his horse into a gallop, and he caught up Ivan. "I'll forgive you this first time," said he, "for you were kind to me, you gave me water to drink, and I'll forgive you a second time. But if you dare to go against me a 3rd time, then I'll hack you to pieces." And he took Maria Marevna from him and rode away with her. Ivan sat down on a stone by the side of the road and began to cry. He wept and he sobbed, and then he went back again for Maria Marevna. And Koshchei the Deathless happened to be away from home as before. "Come with me, Maria," said Ivan. "Ah, Ivan, he will overtake us again." "Let him. We shall at least have spent an hour or 2 together." So they made ready and rode away. By and by, Koshchei the Deathless turned his way homewards. His goodly horse stumbled again under him again. "You old bag of bones, you! Why do you stumble? Is it that you sense some misfortune?" Ivan came, and he carried Maria Marevna off with him. "Can we catch them up? If we were to sow some barley, wait till it ripened, reap and thresh it, brew beer out of it, drink till we were drunk, and not go after them till we had slept it off, we should still catch them up." So Koshchei the Deathless put his horse into a gallop, and he caught up to Ivan. "I told you you would no more see Maria Marevna than your own ears," said he, and he took her away from Ivan and carried her off with him. Ivan was left alone. He wept and he cried, and then he went back again for Maria, and Koshchei the Deathless happened to be away as before. "Come with me, Maria Marevna. Ah, Ivan, he will overtake us and hack you to pieces. Let him. I cannot live without you." So they made ready and rode away. By and by, Koshchei the Deathless turned his way homewards, and his godly horse stumbled under him yet again. "Why do you stumble? Is that you sense some misfortune?" Ivan came, and he took Maria Marevna away. Koshchei galloped after Ivan, and when he had caught him up, hacked him into pieces. He put the pieces in a tarred barrel, bound the barrel with iron hoops, and threw it in the blue sea. And he carried Marya Morevna off with him again. Now, at this same time, the silver things Ivan had left with his brothers-in-law turned dark and tarnished. Oh, said the brothers-in-law, Ivan must have met with some misfortune. So the eagle swooped down on the blue sea, seized the barrel, and carried it out onto the shore. The falcon flew after living water, and the raven flew after dead water, and the two of them came flying back to where the eagle was waited for them. They broke up the barrel, took out the pieces in which Ivan's body had been hacked, washed them, and put them all together properly. The raven sprayed the pieces with dead water, and they grew fast to one another. And then the falcon sprayed them with living water, and Ivan rose with a start and said, "Ah, what a long sleep I have had." "You would have slept longer if it were not for us," his brother-in-law replied. "And now come and be our guest." "No, my brothers, I must go to seek Marya Morevna." So off he went. He found Marya and said to her, "Ask Koshchei the Deathless where it was he got himself such a fine horse." And Marya Morevna bided her chance, and then she asked Koshchei about his horse. Koshchei said, "Beyond the thrice 9 lands and the thrice 10 tsardom there lives Baba Yaga the witch. She lives in the forest beyond the flaming river, and she has a mare on which she flies around the world every day. She has other fine mares too. I tended them for 3 days, and I let not a single mare run off, so Baba Yaga gave me a colt in reward for my services." "How did you manage to cross the flaming river?" "With the help of my magic kerchief. I have only to wave it thrice to the right of me, and a very tall bridge will rise up that the flames cannot reach." Marya Morevna heard him out, and she passed on every word to Ivan, carried off Koshchei's magic kerchief too, and gave it to him. So beautiful. I love the colors of these illustrations.
I know. I love the artwork with this.
Yeah.
It's so pretty.
Ivan crossed the flaming river and made for Baba Yaga's house. He walked for a long, long time without food or drink, and then he came upon a strange bird and her brood. Ivan said, "I think I shall eat one of the chicks." "Do not touch my chicks, Ivan," said the bird in pleading tones. I said it in frick you tones, but it's fine. She can be pleading.
Love that.
"Who knows,
Yeah.
but you might have need of me someday." Ivan walked on, and by he came upon a beehive in the forest. "I think I shall take some honey," said he. But the bee queen began to plead with him and said, "Do not touch my honey, Ivan. Who knows but you might have need of me some day?" Ivan did not touch the honey, but walked on. By he came upon a lioness and her cub. Ivan said, "I think I shall at least eat up that lion cub there. I am so hungry that I can hardly stand on my legs." "Do not touch my cub," said the lioness in pleading tones. "Who knows but you might have need of me some day?" "Very well, let it be as you ask." And he walked on, as hungry as ever. He came to Baba Yaga's house, and there were 12 poles round the house, and human heads were stuck on 11 of them. Baba Yaga. "Good morrow, Grandma," said Ivan to Baba Yaga. "Good morrow to you, Ivan. What brings you here? Do you come because it pleases you, or is it that you have need of me?" "I come to offer you my services, and to earn one of your fine steeds." "Very well, Ivan. It is not for a year, but for only 3 days that you must serve me. If you keep my mare safe, you shall have one of my fine steeds. If you don't, then your head will crown the last pole of the 12, and you'll only have yourself to blame." They struck a bargain, and Baba Yaga gave Ivan food and drink and told him to set to work. No sooner had Ivan driven the mares to pasture than they lifted their tails and ran off every which way across the meadows, and before he could raise his eyes to see where they went, they were gone out of sight. Ivan sorrowed and wept, and then he sat down on a stone and fell asleep. The sun was setting when the strange bird came flying up. "Wake up, Ivan," she said. "The mares are all back in their stalls." Ivan rose and went home, and Baba Yaga made a great to-do, and she shouted at her mares and scolded them. "Why did you come back home?" she demanded of them. "What else could we do? The birds came flying from all over the earth, and they nearly plucked out our eyes." "Well, don't run over the meadows tomorrow, but scatter in the dense forest." Ivan slept the night through, and in the morning Baba Yaga said to him, "Take care, Ivan. If you do not keep my mares safe but lose a single one of them, your head will crown the pole." Ivan drove the mares out to pasture, and they at once lifted their tails and ran off into the dense forest. And Ivan sat down on a stone. He wept and he cried and he fell asleep. This guy is a baby. He is a crybaby. The sun had already sunk beyond the forest when the lioness came running. "Wake up, Ivan," she said. "All the mares are back in their stalls." Ivan got up and went home, and Baba Yaga made a great to-do. She shouted at her mares and scolded them harder than ever. "Why did you come back?" she demanded of them. What else could we do? The fiercest beasts from all over the earth came running, and they very nearly tore us to shreds. "Well, run and hide in the blue sea tomorrow." Ivan slept the night through, and in the morning Baba Yaga sent him off to pasture her mares again. "You don't keep them safe, your head will crown the pole," said she. Ivan drove the mares to pasture in the field, and at once they lifted their tails and vanished from sight. Into the blue sea they ran, and they stood up to their necks in the water. Ivan sat down on a stone. He wept, and he cried, and he fell asleep. By and by the bee came flying up and said, "Wake up, Ivan. All the mares are back in their stalls. Only mind you, when you get back to her house, do not show yourself to Baba Yaga, but go to the stable and hide behind the crib. There is a mangy colt there wallowing in the dung. Take him, and in the deep of night leave the house." Ivan rose, he stole into the stable and lay down behind the crib, and all the while Baba Yaga was shouting at the top of her voice and berating her mares. "Why did you come back?" she demanded. "What else could we do? Swarms of bees came flying from every corner of the earth, and they stung us all over till the blood showed." Baba Yaga went to bed and fell asleep, and on the stroke of midnight, Ivan saddled her mangiest colt and rode to the flaming river. When he reached the river, he waved his magic kerchief thrice to the right of him, and lo and behold, there before him, spanning the river, was a fine, tall bridge. Ivan rode across and waved his kerchief twice to the left of him, and instead of the fine, tall bridge, there appeared a poor, low, narrow one. In the morning, Baba Yaga woke up and, seeing that her mangy colt was gone, rushed off in pursuit. Like the wind, she went in her iron mortar. Like the wind, she went in her iron mortar, using her pestle for a whip and sweeping the tracks away with her broom. She flew to the flaming river, took one look and said to herself, "A bridge, just what I need." And she started off across the bridge, but just when she had reached its very middle, the bridge broke down under her, and Baba Yaga fell in the river. And so that was how she met her end, and a cruel end it was. And Ivan pastured his colt in the lush green meadows, and the colt grew into a strong and handsome steed. Then Ivan rode to the house of Koshe the Deathless and outran Marya Morevna, the lovely Tsarevna, and she threw her arms around his neck. "How ever did you manage to escape death?" she asked him. Nothing would do but he must tell her all about it. "And now you must come away with me," said Ivan. "I'm afraid, Ivan, if Koshe overtakes us, he'll chop you to pieces again." "He'll not cut us up this time, for I have a fine, strong steed that flies like the wind." And they mounted the steed and rode away. By and by, Koshe the Deathless turned his way homewards, and his horse stumbled under him. "Why do you stumble, you old bag of bones?" he asked. "Ivan came, and he carried off Marya Morevna," the horse replied. "Can you catch them up?" "I cannot say, for now Ivan has a horse as fine as I am, or better." "I shan't let it rest at that," said Koshe the Deathless. "I'll go after them." Whether a long time passed by or a little time, no one knows, but he caught up to Ivan, and jumping to the ground, was about to pierce him with his sharp sword. Before he could do it, Ivan's horse struck him with his hoof, all his might, and smashed his head. And Ivan finished him off with his cudgel. After that, Ivan piled up a heap of wood and made up a fire. He burnt up the body of Koshe the Deathless, and he strewed his ashes in the wind. Marya Morevna mounted Koshe's horse. Ivan mounted his own, and away they rode. First they went to see the raven, then the eagle, and then the falcon, and they were welcomed with joy by all three. Ah, Ivan, we had lost all hope of ever seeing you, they all said. But at least all your troubles have not been in vain. If you search the world over, you could not find a bride as lovely as Maria Marevna. Ivan and Maria Marevna feasted and made merry for a time, and then they went back into their own tsardom. There they lived in health and in cheer for many a long and prosperous, never knowing hunger or need, but drinking their fill of ale. So
that's such a cute picture at the end.
I know, so
I love that.
cute, so cute. Also, hello, Shadow. Welcome in. You just came at the end of my story.
Oh, hello, Shadow.
Oh, sorry, guys. You guys can still see. Okay.
It's so cute.
You may have noticed that this death scene has nothing to do with the egg, or the needle, or the rabbit, or the duck, or the chest, or the island, or the dragon. He just dies.
That's
I'm really sure, like, there's not really any, like, historical stuff that I could find as, like, a reasoning behind that. Maybe there was, his egg had already been destroyed at some point. Who knows? I wonder if he's not actually dead. That's my theory. If I had a folktale theory, that's my theory. Because, like, if his egg wasn't destroyed, how is he truly vanquished, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most popular story about Koshe the Deathless. And it has absolutely nothing to do with his epic immortality, like, plan that he had. So it's very interesting. I thought that was very ironic. That his, not only is his most famous story his death, but also his death has nothing to do with his very well thought out plan for immortality. So yeah, interesting. Yeah. But you could kind of see the similarities, like the sisters, the animals, like egg. Not that the egg was in this story, but the egg was part of Koshe's story, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you have the right thing about threes. Threes definitely are huge in fairy tales. I wonder if there's a reason behind that.
Yeah, isn't it interesting?
Yeah. Also, you got to see a little bit of Baba Yaga. I'll talk a bit more about her after Lila does her second story, but yeah, that was a little bit about Baba Yaga.
Yay. Okay. Yay. Give me a sec. Here, let me pull this up. Dang, this one's gonna be a little longer.
Yeah, mine was long. Last one. Yeah, my first one was long, so.
Okay. Yeah, I almost started with the long one for the first one, but I was like, well, I just went through all that stuff, so I'll start with the shorter one.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me get this.
Ooh, we gotta save this this site. It has like some really, like, we could do like a like different parts of Africa. We could do fairy tales about like that.
Yeah.
Because they have like Nigerian versus South African versus Zimbabwe. Yeah, that would be a fun one.
Yeah, big shout out to this website for all these.
Here's a link, guys. This is specifically the one that has all the regions, so you can see all of the different regional ones. Yeah, I'm definitely going to add this to my podcast marks.
So this one is basically like almost half an hour.
Okay.
So we shall see. Hold on.
I think mine was like half an hour. It felt like half an hour.
Mood. Okay.
All the sisters say the same things, man. Over and over. I was like, say something different.
I know, that's how I felt with the princess in my story.
Yeah.
Or with the giant. It was just the same thing over and over. And I'm like, how is the giant not suspicious? Come on, man. Do you not have a brain as well as a heart? What? Bruh. Okay. So this one... Big God. Okay. This one is basically the Norwegian version of Cinderella. It is called Katie Wooden Clock. Clock. Wait. C-L-A-K. That's cloak. Wait.
C-L-O-A-K. Cloak.
Okay, so it's wooden cloak. That is so weird.
Okay.
Wooden cloak.
Before you start, I'm going to reset the VC real quick because you were cutting out for a second.
Yellow.
Okay, there we go. Now I can see the connectivity. Okay, we're good now. It wouldn't show me anything, and I was like, I can't work with this, so there we go.
Uh-oh. Okay, yeah. So we have Katie Wooden Cloak, which is the Norwegian version of Cinderella. This will be interesting because we've talked about... I think we talked about it, maybe, the Hans Christian Andersen version where it was
Yeah, I think we talked about the Chinese version too.
Yeah, I think so. So it's gonna be interesting how this one compares. Again, I'm doing a cold read. I have not read this before.
Okay.
So...
Alright.
Here we go. Hopefully this one isn't worded as weirdly... Okay, not weirdly, but old-timely language, you know?
Yeah.
But looking at the first
you honestly
paragraph...
did really well with that, though.
It definitely is.
You honestly didn't, stumble over the old-timiness much.
It, threw me off so bad, and then, literally... almost a whole paragraph was just a sentence with just a ton of commas.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on? But looking at the first paragraph, I can already tell it is old-timely. Daredn't? Yup, dare not? Daredn't? Yup. So, that's in the first paragraph. Love that. Okay. Okay. Once on a time, there was a king who had become a widower. By his queen, he had one daughter, who was so clever and lovely. There wasn't a cleverer or lovelier princess in all the world. So the king went on a long time sorrowing for the queen, whom he had loved so much. But at last he got weary of living alone and married another queen, who was a widow and had an only daughter. But this daughter was just as bad and ugly as the other was kind and clever and lovely. The stepmother and her daughter were jealous of the princess because she was so lovely. But so long as the king was at home, they daredn't do her any harm. He was so fond of her. Well, after a time, he fell into war with another king and went out to battle with his host. And then the stepmother thought she might do as she pleased. And so she both starved and beat the princess. Holy shit!
Dang!
What?
Okay.
We're jumping to abuse? Okay. And so she both starved and beat the princess, and was after her in every hole and corner of the house. At last she thought everything too good for her, and turned her out to herd cattle. So there she went about with the cattle, and herded them in the woods and on the fells. As for food, she got little or none, and she grew thin and wan, and was always sobbing and sorrowful. Now in the herd there was a great dun bowl, which, okay, what is a dun bowl? D-U-N bowl. Dun bowl. What the heck is that? Oh. Well, anyway, now in the herd there was a great dun bowl, which always kept himself so neat and sleek, and often he came up to the princess and let her pat him. So one day, when she sat there, sad and sobbing and sorrowful, he came up to her and asked her outright why she was always in such grief.
Oh.
She answered nothing, but went on weeping.
It's one of those
Yes?
really big fluffy bulls. Like they have a big fluffy hair and have like the hair in
Okay, I
their
need to see
eyes.
this.
Here, I'll show you.
Oh my god. Okay, I need to see this. It sounds adorable.
I almost sent that to myself. There you go.
Yeah, it's so cute! Oh my god, I want one.
Yeah, he's very fluffy. This is, I think, a small version of it.
It reminds me of a Highland cow.
Yeah, that's what I think that is what it is. That's what it's known for now, but it was called Dunland in.
Okay. Yeah. Oh my god, it's so fluffy. Oh, I see one with its tongue licking its nose.
Oh,
okay.
Cute.
Sorry. It is. Okay. Well, for those of you who are listening, again, like we were talking about, like a Highland cow. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and she got to pat him. Okay. So one day when she sat there sad and sobbing and sorrowful, he came up to her and asked her outright why she was always in such grief. She answered nothing, but went on weeping. Ah, said the bull, I know all about it quite well. Though you wouldn't tell me, you weep because the queen is bad to you, and because she's ready to starve you to death. But food you've no need to fret about, for in my left ear lies a cloth, and when you take and spread it out, you may have as many dishes as you please. Oh my god. Is this bull the fairy godmother?
Yes.
So she did that, took the cloth and spread it out on the grass, and lo, it served up the nicest dishes one could wish to have. There was wine, too, okay, and mead and sweet cake. Well, she soon got up her flesh again, and grew so plump and rosy and white that the queen and her scrawny chimp of a daughter turned blue and yellow for spite. The queen couldn't at all make out how her stepdaughter got to look so well on such bad fare, so she told one of her maids to go after her in the wood, and watch and see how it all was, for she thought some of the servants in the house must give her food. So the maid went after her and watched in the wood, and then she saw how the stepdaughter took the cloth out of the bull's ear and spread it out, and how it served up the nicest dishes, which the stepdaughter ate and made good cheer over. All this the maid told the queen when she went home. Ah, man! And now the king came home from war and had won the fight against the other kingdom, with whom he went out to battle. So there was great joy throughout the palace, and no one was gladder than the king's daughter. But the queen shammed sick, and took to her bed, and paid the doctor a great fee to get him to say she could never be well again, unless she had some of the dun bull's flesh to eat.
What?
This bitch is gonna try to eat the bull. How dare she?
But he's so cute.
Both the king's daughter and the folk in the palace asked the doctor if nothing else would help her, and prayed hard for the bull, for everyone was so fond of him, and they all said there wasn't that bull's match in all the land. But no, he must and should be slaughtered. Nothing else would do. When the king's daughter heard that, she got very sorrowful, and went down into the brae to the bull. There too he stood and hung down his head, and looked so downcast that she began to weep over him. "What are you weeping for?" asked the bull. So she told him how the king had come home again, and how the queen had shammed sick, and got the doctor to say she could never be well again, or be well and sound again, unless she got some of the dun bull's flesh to eat. And so now he was to be slaughtered. "If they get me killed first," said the bull, "they'll soon take your life too. Now, if you're of my mind, we'll just start off and go away tonight." Well, the princess thought it bad, you may be sure, to go and leave her father, but she thought it still worse to be in the house with the queen, and so she gave her word to the bull to come to him. At night, when all had gone to bed, the princess stole down to the briar to the bull, and so he took her on his back and set off from the homestead as fast as ever he could. And when the folk got up at corkscrew next morning to slaughter the bull, why, he was gone. And when the king got up and asked for his daughter, she was gone too. He sent out messengers on all sides to hunt for them, and gave them out in all the parish churches. But there was no one who had caught a glimpse of them. Meanwhile, the bull went through many lands with the king's daughter on his back, and so one day they came to a great copper wood, where both the trees and branches and leaves and flowers and everything were nothing but copper. But before they went into the wood, the bull said to the king's daughter, "Now when we get into this wood, mind you take care not to touch even a leaf of it, else it's all over both with me and you, for here dwells a troll with 3 heads who owns this wood." 3 heads, imagine that. I'm sorry. No, bless her, she'd be sure to take care not to touch anything. Well, she was very careful and leant this way and that to miss the bots. The bouts. The bouts. And put them gently aside with her hands. But it was such a thick wood, 'twas scarce possible to get through. And so with all of her pains, somehow or other, she tore off a leaf which she held in her hand. "Ah! What have you done now?" said the bull. "There's nothing for it now but to fight for life or death. But mind you, keep the leaf safe." Soon after, they got to the end of the wood, and a troll with 3 heads came running up. "What is that touches my wood?" I'm sorry, my mind is inappropriate. "Who is that touches my wood?" said the troll. "It's just as much mine as yours," said the bull. "Ah!" roared the troll. "We'll try a fall about that." "As you choose," said the bull. So they rushed at one another and fought, and the bull he butted and gored and kicked with all his might and main, but the troll gave him as good as he brought, and it lasted the whole day before the bull got the mastery. And then he was so full of wounds and so worn out he could scarce lift a leg. Then they were forced to stay there a day and rest. And then the bull bade the king's daughter to take the horn of ointment which hung at the troll's belt and rub him with it. Then he came to himself again. And the day after they trudged on again, so they traveled many, many days until, after a long, long time, they came to a silver wood, where both the trees and the branches and the leaves and the flowers and everything were silverin. Yeah, silverin. Jeez. Before the bull went into the wood, he said to the king's daughter, "Now, when we get into this wood, for heaven's sake, mind you take good care. You mustn't touch anything, and not pluck off so much as one leaf, else it is all over both with me and you. For here is a troll with 6 heads who owns it, and him I don't think I should be able to master. Let me guess, there's gonna be a gold forest and a troll with 9 heads. Putting my money on it." No, said the king's daughter, I'll take good care and not touch anything you don't wish me to touch. But when they got into the wood, it was so close and thick, they could scarce get along. She was as careful could be, and leant to this side, that to miss the bouts, and put them on one side with her hands. But every minute the branches struck her across the eyes, and in spite of all of her pains, it so happened, she tore off a leaf. Ah! What have you done now? Said the bull. There's nothing for it now but to fight for life and death, for this troll has 6 heads, and is twice as strong as the other. But mind you, keep the leaf safe, and don't lose it. Just as he said that, up came the troll. Who is this, he said, that touches my wood? It's as much mine as yours, said the bull. Then we'll try a fallabout, roared the troll. As you choose, said the bull, and rushed at the troll, and gored out his eyes, and drove his horns right through his body, so that the entrails gushed out. Violent. But the troll was almost a match for him, and it lasted 3 whole days before the bull got the life gored out of him. But then, he too was so weak and wretched, it was just as much as he could to stir a limb, and so full of wounds that the blood streamed from him. So he said to the king's daughter she must take the horn of ointment that hung at the troll's belt and rub him with it. Then she did that, and he came to himself. But they were forced to stay there a week to rest before the bull had strength enough to go on. This poor bull, man.
No. Been through a lot.
At last, yeah, right? At last they set off again, but the wool was wool. At last they set off again, but the bull was still poorly, and that went rather slowly at first. So to spare time, the king's daughter said, as she was young and light of foot, she could very well walk, but she couldn't get leave to do that. No, she must seat herself up on his back again. So on they traveled through many lands a long time, and the king's daughter did not know in the least whither they went. But after a long time, they came to a gold wood. It was so grand, the gold dropped from every twig, and all the trees and boughs and flowers and leaves were of pure gold. Here, too, the same thing happened as had happened in the silver wood and copper wood. The bull told the king's daughter she mustn't touch it for anything, for there was a troll with 9 heads who owned it, and he was so much bigger and stouter than both the others put together, and he didn't think he could get the better of him. No, she'd be sure to take heed not to touch it, that he might know very well. But when they got into the wood, it was far thicker and closer than the silver wood, and the deeper they went into it, the worse it got. The wood went on getting thicker and thicker, and closer, and at last she thought there was no way at all to get through it. She was in such an awful fright of plucking off anything that she sat and twisted and turned herself this way and that, and hithered and thithered to keep clear of the bouts that she put them on one side with her hands. But every moment, branches struck her across the eyes so that she couldn't see what she was clutching at. And lo, before she knew how it came about, she had gold apple in her hand. Then she was so bitterly sorry, she burst into tears and wanted to throw it away. But the bull said she must keep it safe and watch it well, and comforted her as well as he could. But he thought it would be a hard tussle, and he doubted how it would go. Just then, up came the troll with the 9 heads, and he was so ugly. The king's daughter scarcely dared to look at him. Scarcely, yeah, oh my god. Dared to look at him. Who is that touches my wood? He roared. It's just as much mine as yours, said the bull. That will try a fall about, roared the troll again. Just as you choose, said the bull. And so they rushed at one another and fought, and it was such a dreadful sight. The king's daughter was ready to swoon away. The bull gored out the troll's eyes and drove his horns through his body, till the entrails came tumbling out. But the troll fought bravely, and when the bull got one head gored to death, the rest breathed life into it again. And so it lasted a whole week before the bull was able to get the life out of all of them. But then he was utterly worn out and wrenched. He couldn't stir a foot, and his body was all one wound. He couldn't so much as ask the king's daughter to take the horn of ointment which hung at the troll's belt and rub it over him. But she did it all the same, and then he came to himself, little and little. But they had to lie there and rest 3 weeks before he was fit to go on again. Then they set off at a snail's pace, for the bull said that they had still a little further to go, and so they crossed over many hills and thick woods. So after a while they got upon the fells. Do you see anything? Asked the bull. No, I see nothing but the sky and the wild fell, said the king's daughter. So when they climbed higher up, the fell got smoother, and they could see further off. Do you see anything now? Asked the bull. Yes, I see a little castle, far, far away, said the princess. There's no so little thought, said the bull. After a long, long time, they came to a great cairn, where there was a spur of the fell that stood sheer across the way. Do you see anything now? Asked the bull. Now I see the castle close by, said the king's daughter, and now it is much, much bigger. The Thereather? You're to go, said the bull. Right underneath the castle is a pigsty where you are to dwell. When you come thither, you'll find a wooden cloak, all made of strips of lath, that you must put on, and go up to the castle and say your name is Katie Woodencloak, and ask for a place. But before you go, you must take your penknife and cut off my head.
Whoa.
What? After all of that? And then you must flay. Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay. No! No! But before you go, you must take your penknife and cut off my head. And then you must flay me and roll up the hide and lay it under the wall of rock yonder. And under the hide you must lay the copper leaf, and the silver leaf, and the golden apple. Yonder up against the rock stands a stick, and when you want anything, you've only got to knock on the wall of rock with that stick. At first she wouldn't do anything of the kind, but when the bull said it was the only thanks he would have for what he had done for her, she couldn't help herself. So however much it grieved her heart, she hacked and cut away with her knife at the big beast till she got both his head and his hide off. And then she laid the hide up under the wall of rock and put the copper leaf and the silveren leaf and the golden apple inside it. So when she had done that, she went over to the pigsty, but all the while she went, she sobbed and wept. There she put the wooden cloak and went up to the palace. When she came into the kitchen, she begged for a place and told them her name was Katie Woodencloak. Yes, the cook said, she might have a place. She might have leave to be there in the scullery and wash up, for the lassie who did that work before had just gone away. But as soon as you get weary of being here, you'll go your way too. I'll be bound. No, she was sure she wouldn't do that. So there she was, behaving so well and washing up so handily. The Sunday after, there were to be strange guests at the palace, so Katie asked if she might have leave to carry up water for the prince's bath, but all the rest laughed at her and said, "What should you do there? Do you think the prince will care to look at you? You who are such a fright?" But she wouldn't give it up, and kept on begging and praying, and at last she got leave. So she went up the stairs, her wooden cloak made such a clatter. The prince came out and asked, "Pray, who are you?" "Oh, I was just going to bring up water for your Royal Highness's bath," said Katie. "Do you think now," said the prince, "I'd have anything to do with the water you bring?" And with that, he threw the water over her. Man, I was rooting for the prince, and now I'm not. So she had to put up with that, but then she asked to leave to go to church. Well, she got oh my lord. Okay. So she had to put up with that, but then she asked leave to go to church. Well, she got that leave too, for the church lays close by. But first of all, she went to the rock and knocked on its face with the stick which stood there, just as the bull had said. And straightway out came a man who said, "What's your will?" So the princess said she had got leave to go to church and hear the priest preach, but she had no clothes to go in. So she brought out a kirtle, which was as bright as the copper wood, and she got a horse and saddle beside. Now when she got to the church, she was so lovely and grand, all wondered who she could be, and scarce one of them listened to what the priest said, for they looked too much at her. As for the prince, he fell so deep in love with her, he didn't take his eyes off of her for a single moment. If they get together, I'm gonna be really mad. So as she went out of church, the prince ran after her. He held the church door open for her, and so he got hold of one of her gloves, which was caught in the door. When she went away and mounted her horse, the prince went up to her again and asked whence she came. "Oh, I'm from the bath," said Katie. And while the prince took out the glove to give it to her, she said, "Bright before and dark behind, clouds come rolling on the wind, that this priest may never see where my good steed goes with me." The prince had never seen the like of that glove, and went about far and wide asking after the land whence the proud lady who rode off without her glove said she came, but there was no one who could tell where Bath lay. So it's a glove and not a shoe. Love that.
Right?
Next
it's very
Sunday.
Bridgerton. That's in the new Bridgerton too. Love instead of.
Ooh, okay. Next Sunday, someone had to go up to the prince with a towel. "Oh, may I have leave to go up with it?" said Katie. "What's the good of your going?" asked the others. "You saw how it freed with you last time." But Katie wouldn't give in. She kept on begging and praying till she got leave, and then she ran up the stairs so that her wooden cloak made a greater clatter. Out came the prince, and when he saw it was Katie, he tore the towel out of her hand and threw it into her face. Bruh! "Pack yourself off, you ugly troll," he cried. "Do you think I'd have a towel which you have touched with your smutty fingers?" Smut has a whole new meaning now.
Yeah.
After that, the prince set off to church, and Katie begged for leave to go too. They all asked what business she had at church, she who had nothing to put on but that wooden cloak, which was so black and ugly. But Katie said that the priest was such a brave man to preach. What he said did her so much good, and so she at last got leave. Now she went again to the rock and knocked, and so out came the man and gave her a criddle far finer than the first one. It was all covered with silver, and it shone like silver wood, and she got besides a noble steed, with a saddle cloth broidered with silver and a silver bit. So when the king's daughter got to the church, the folk were still standing about in the churchyard, and all wondered and wondered who she could be. And the prince was soon on the spot, and came and wished to hold her horse for her while she got off. But she jumped down and said there was no need, for her horse was so well broke, it stood still when she bid it, and came when she called it. So they all went into the church, but there was scarce a soul that listened to what the priest said, for they looked at her a deal too much, and the prince fell still deeper in love than the first time. When the sermon was over, she went out of the church and was going to mount her horse up. Oh my god. When the sermon was over and she went out of the church and was going to mount her horse, came the prince again and asked her whence she came. "Oh, I'm from Towelland." My god. I'm sorry. This is just so funny. Wooden cloak, an actual wooden cloak. Towelland because of the towel. "Oh, I'm from Towelland," said the king's daughter, and as she said that, she dropped her riding whip, and when the prince stopped to pick it up, she said, "Bright before and dark behind, clouds come rolling on the wind, that this prince may never see where my good steed goes with me." So away she was again, and the prince couldn't tell what had become of her. He went about far and wide, asking after the land whence she said she came, but there was no one who could tell him where it lay, and so the prince had to make the best he could of it. The next Sunday, someone had to go up to the prince with a comb. Kitty begged for leave to go up with it, but the others put her in mind how she had fared the last time, and scolded her for wishing to go up before the prince, such a black and ugly fright as she was in her wooden cloak. But she wouldn't leave off asking till they let her go up to the prince with his comb. So when she came clattering up the stairs again, out came the prince, and took the comb, and threw it at her, and bade her to be off as fast as she could. After that, the prince went to church, and Katie begged for leave to go too. They asked again what business she had there, she who was so foul and black, and who had no clothes to show herself in. Might be the prince or someone else would see her, and then both she and all the others would smart for it. But Katie said they had something else to do than to look at her, and she wouldn't leave off begging and praying till they gave her leave to go. So the same thing happened, and now, as had happened twice before, she went to the rock and knocked with the stick, and then the man came out and gave her a criddle which was far grander than either of the others. It was almost all pure gold and studded with diamonds, and she got besides a noble steed with a gold broidered saddlecloth and a golden bit. Now when the king's daughter got to the church, there stood the priest and all the people in the churchyard waiting for her. Up came the prince running and wanted to hold her horse, but she jumped off and said, "No thanks, there's no need, for my horse is so well broke, it stands still when I bid him." So they all hastened into the church, and the priest got into the pulpit, but no one listened to a word he said, for they all looked too much at her and wondered whence she came, and the prince he was far deeper in love than either of the former times. He had no eyes or ears or sense for anything, but just to sit and stare at her. So when the sermon was over, the king's daughter was to go out of the church. The prince had got a firkin of pitch poured out in the porch, that he might come and help her over it, but she didn't care a bit. She just put her foot right down in the midst of the pitch and jumped across it. But then one of her one of her gold shoes stuck fast in it. And as she got on her horse, up came the prince running out to the church and asked whence she came. "I'm from Combland," said Katy. But when the prince wanted to reach her the gold shoe, she said, "Bright before and dark behind, clouds come rolling on the wind, but this prince may never see where my good steed goes with me." So the prince couldn't tell still what had become of her, and he went about a weary time all over the world asking for Combland. But when no one could tell him where it lay, he ordered it to be given out everywhere that he would wed the woman whose foot could fit in the gold shoe. Okay, here's the Cinderella thing. Oh God. So many came of all sorts from all sides, fair and ugly alike. But there was no one who had so small a foot as to be able to get on the gold shoe. And after a long, long time, who should come but Katy's wicked stepmother and her daughter too. And her the gold shoe fitted, but ugly she was, and so loathly she looked. Prince only kept his words sore against his will. Still they got ready the wedding feast, and she was dressed up and decked out as a bride. But as they rode to the church, a little bird sat upon a tree and sang. Hold on. A bit off her heel and a bit off her toe. Katy Wooden's cloak tiny shoe is full of blood, that's all I know. And as sure enough, when they looked into it, the bird told the truth, for blood gushed out of the shoe. Then all the maids and women who were about the palace had to go up to try on the shoe, but there was none of them whom it would fit. "But where's Katy Woodencloak?" asked the prince, when all the rest had tried the shoe, for he understood the song of birds very well, and bore in mind what the little bird had said. "Oh, she think of that," said the rest. "It's no good for her coming forward. Why, she's legs like a horse." "Very true, I dare say," said the prince, "but since all the others have tried, Katy may as well try too." "Katy!" he bawled out through the door, and Katy came trampling up the stairs, and her wooden cloak clattered as if the whole regiment of dragoons were charging up. "Now you must try the shoe on, and be a princess, you too," said the other maids, and laughed and made a game of her. So Katy took up the shoe and put her foot into it like nothing, and threw off her wooden cloak. And so there she stood in her gold criddle, and it shone so that the sunbeams glistened from her, and lo, on her other foot she had the fellow to the gold shoe. So when the prince knew her again, he grew so glad. He ran up to her and threw his arms round her and gave her a kiss. And when he heard she was a king's daughter, he got gladder still. And then came the wedding feast, and so. Snip, snip, snover, this story's over.
Wow.
That was cute. Snip, snip, snover, this story's over.
Interesting.
Bruh.
Interesting story.
So instead of 2 stepsisters, one getting the heel cut off and one getting the toe, it was one stepsister who got both cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this story was long as heck.
Yeah.
Again, it's the rule of 3. Copper, silver, gold.
Yep.
Copper, silver, gold. I forgot what the first one was, but the second one was towel. Oh, bath. So, bath, towel, comb. Just all 3s.
Mm-hmm.
Trolls 369. That's interesting. Bruh. I am so annoyed about the prince. He was only into her for her looks.
Yeah.
At least in... like, come on, man. I did like that story, though. I'm so upset about the cow, though. The bull.
Yeah. Yeah, the bull's life was rough. That was a rough life.
I feel bad for Katie, too, because she, like, went through so much shit, and, like, the only friend she had...
Yeah.
She had to kill, essentially.
Well, not only
That's crazy.
kill, but had to hurt over and over.
Yeah, like, she skinned him.
Yeah.
That's insane. And then she kept getting treated like, nothing. Over and over again. Dang. That's crazy. Well, I guess she got her happily ever after. But that prince is a surface level jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. I really have to pee after that.
Yeah, go for it. I'll start talking about
Not
Baba
gonna lie,
Yaga.
I had to stop to drink. A lot.
Yeah,
so.
That's a long story.
Liked it though. Okay, I'll be back.
Okay. Put Baba Yaga up here. You guys kind of saw her in the other picture, or the other book or story that I read, but there's Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga. Okay, so Baba Yaga. She is a Slavic witch known for living in the woods in a house built on chicken legs where she feasts on children. That's like the most sinister description of her. She usually appears, as you can see, as like a hag or a crone, and she rides around on a broom or inside a mortar and uses her pestle to fly and her broom to sweep away her tracks. She is very much related to paganism, to pagan rituals, especially the ones that specifically involved women. So she is very closely related with Slavic paganism, which is again why I was talking about earlier. Paganism is very much still a part of these folk tales. Christianity hasn't completely taken over things, like they have with a lot of fairy tales in general. Let me put these behind me. Okay, so she was first recorded in Slavic folktales in 1755 as part of a discourse on Slavic folk figures in a book, Russian Grammar. Before this, she had also appeared in woodcut art, so that was from at least the 17th century, but her history amongst oral tradition goes back much, much, much further. Much further. I think that she was... Where am I? She's been a regular figure in Russian fairy tales and folklore well into the modern age, even. I think she was in... she in The Witcher? Let's see. Pretty sure she was in a Witcher episode. Yeah, she was. Okay, yeah, Baba Yaga was in The Witcher. So yeah, she's still used as a character, a trope. I will say that she's not necessarily one person. There is not like the Baba Yaga. There are also tales of the sister Baba Yagas, or of different Baba Yagas that are evil versus the Baba Yagas that help the heroes. And this kind of indicates to a lot of folklorists, historians of folklore, that Baba Yaga is more like a species, like witch or vampire or werewolf. It is not just one Baba Yaga. So yeah, she fits a very like well used trope in fairy tales, and that she's like wicked witchy, evil, like that thing. But she's actually a lot more complex of a character, and a lot of people have been diving into her in recent years. A lot of like modern folklorists and historians have been, especially women, have been diving into exactly what she was modeled after, whether it is supposed to be all negative connotation or if it's more of a spiritual side of things. So one of the things that people have been talking about is that she is modeled after a Slavic pagan goddess, perhaps the goddess of the underworld, and also a Mother Nature kind of figure, the personification of a storm cloud. So there are some that have started to kind of look at her as more of a symbol of rebirth rather than a symbol of death, as she has been looked at in the past. So yeah, she has a lot of, I say she, they, the Baba Yaga have a lot of different sides to the character. But yeah, no, a lot of people, when they initially think of Baba Yaga, it's that wicked witch, eats children, Hansel and Gretel, Lady in the Woods kind of vibe. Yeah. Her name, Baba, translates to something like grandmother or old woman, whereas Yaga is a little bit more ambiguous. Some have said it's a translation to snake, or some say that it's like wicked or whore. So there's not like a definitive translation for Yaga, but basically grandmother snake, grandmother wicked, wicked grandmother, something of the sort. Overall, the name's supposed to, evoke a bit of caution in the hero, in the reader. Did I have anything else about her? Yeah, she's associated with the dead, appears to have power over animals. Another Slavic folklorist historian, Prop, he also connects her with like female totem like ancestors, very much like the Mother Nature kind of side of things. So she was kind of warped, reinterpreted into an evil spirit once patriarchy and agricultural stuff started flourishing in society. So she was kind of demoted to just being an evil witch in folklores, but before that time, Prop talks about how she was seen as more of like an what is it called? Starts with an I. An idol, like a goddess or an idol of nature, of rebirth, of death, even. Well, because she was also goddess of underworld, possibly. But yeah, a lot of her rituals that she does in stories, or things that she does in stories, are very related to pagan ancient ritual. So her specifically is very much rooted in the foundations of Slavic folklore. Okay, so let me get this story here. I do have another possible story, but it's so freaking long, and I don't know if I want to read that long one. We might just read the short one and be good because
I get that.
yeah, I need sleep, y'all. I haven't slept in like 3 days. I need sleep.
Jeez.
All right, so Vasilisa the Beautiful. That's what this story is called. One of the most popular Baba Yaga stories. Other than Kashe the Deathless and like him dying. She's also that's one of her big stories as well. But she dies in that one. She dies in that one in that like flaming river. So
yeah.
Okay. A long time ago there lived a merchant and his wife. They had one child, a girl called Vasilisa. One day the mother placed a little doll in the child's hands and said, "My child, I am dying. Take this doll as my blessing. Always keep it with you and never show it to anybody. If anything bad happens to you, give the doll food and ask her for guidance." Shortly afterwards, the mother died. The merchant soon became lonely and decided to marry again. He married a widow. Thought would be a good mother, but both she and her 2 stepdaughters were envious of Vasilisa's beauty. We always do this. We pick very similar stories without realizing that we've done this, and I think it's hilarious every time.
I know.
Also, hello, Ludo.
It is.
Welcome
Hi,
in.
Ludo!
We're wrapping up our Nordic Slavic Legends episode. This is our last story, but Lila has some honorable mentions she might mention, and also I will upload the video on YouTube. So if you want to listen to the other stories that we read.
Woo!
Okay, so yeah, married a new woman with 2 daughters who were envious of Vasilisa's beauty. They gave her heavy outdoor work to do so she would grow thin and her face would turn ugly in the wind and the sun. Despite this, Vasilisa became more beautiful every day. Each day she gave her doll food and asked for advice. Having finished eating, the doll would help with the tasks and even bring Vasilisa herbs to prevent sunburn. As the years passed, Vasilisa grew ever more beautiful as her stepmother's hatred of her intensified. Then, whilst Vasilisa's father was away on business, the stepmother moved the family to the edge of a dense birch forest. This was not just any birch forest, for in this forest lived the terrifying witch Baba Yaga, a witch who ate people like others ate chicken. Every day the stepmother sent Vasilisa into the forest, but the girl always returned safe and sound with the guidance of her magic doll. Then one night, the stepmother crept around the house and extinguished all the candles. As the last candle failed, she said in a loud voice, "It's impossible to finish our work in the darkness. Somebody must go to Baba Yaga and ask for a light." "I'm not going," said the first stepdaughter, who was stitching lace. "I can see my needle." "And I'm not going," said the second daughter, who was knitting stockings. "I can see my needle." So Vasilisa was thrown out into the dark, forbidding forest. Despite her fear, she fed her magic doll and asked for it. "Don't be afraid, Vasilisa," said the doll. "Go to Baba Yaga and ask her to give you a light." All that night, Vasilisa walked nervously through the forest, holding the doll who guided her path. Then, suddenly, she saw a horseman rushing by. His face and clothes were white, and he was riding a white horse. As he passed, the first light of dawn appeared across the sky. Then another horseman came by. His face and clothes were red, and he was riding a red horse. As he passed, the sun began to rise. Vasilisa had never seen such strange men, and she was very surprised. She walked all day until at last she came to Baba Yaga's hut, which stood forbidding on its large chicken legs. A fence made of human bones surrounded the hut. It was crowned with human skulls. The gate had a sharp set of teeth that served as a lock. Vasilisa was terribly afraid. Suddenly another horseman galloped by. His face and clothes were black, and he was riding a black horse. He rode through the gates and disappeared. As he passed, night descended. As the sky darkened, the eyes of the skulls began to glow. Their light illuminated the forest. Vasilisa trembled. She wanted to run, but her legs would not move. Almost immediately, she heard a hideous noise. Earth shook, the trees groaned, and there was Baba Yaga, riding in her mortar. She stopped and sniffed the air. "I smell a human," she cried. "Who is here?" Vasilisa stepped forward, trembling with fear. She said, "I am Vasilisa. My stepmother sent me to you to ask for a light." "I know of her," Baba Yaga replied. "Stay with me for a while. If you work well, I'll give you a light. If you do not, I will cook you and eat you." Baba Yaga commanded the gates to open and rode in. Vasilisa followed, and the gates closed fast behind her. As they entered the hut, Baba Yaga ordered Vasilisa to bring her what was on the stove. There was enough food to feed 10 men. Then from the cupboard she collected kvass, a drink made from fermented rye flour, mead, a drink made from fermented honey, beer, and wine. Baba Yaga ate and drank everything. She left Vasilisa nothing but a crust of bread. "I'm tired," Baba Yaga said. "Tomorrow, Vasilisa, you must clean the yard, sweep the hut, cook the supper, and wash the linen. Then you must go to the corn bin and separate seed by seed the mildewed corn from the good corn. And mind that you remove all the black bits. If you don't complete these tasks, I will eat you." Soon Baba Yaga started snoring. Her long nose rattled against the roof of the hut, and Vasilisa took her doll out of her pocket, gave it a crust of bread, and said, "Please help me. Baba Yaga has given me an impossible task to do, and if I fail, she will eat me." The doll replied, "Don't be afraid, Vasilisa. Eat your supper and go to bed. Mornings are wiser than evenings." Although Vasilisa woke early the next morning, Baba Yaga was already up. Vasilisa went to the corn bin and found the doll picking out the last black bits. The other tasks were also fulfilled. The doll said, "All you have to do now is prepare the supper. After that, you can rest." Vasilisa thanked the doll and went to prepare supper. She cooked the food, laid the table, and waited. As the skull's eyes began to shine, the trees groaned, earth trembled, and there was Baba Yaga. "Have you done what I told you?" she asked Vasilisa. "Yes," replied the girl. Baba Yaga was very upset, for she wanted to eat the girl, but the tasks were all completed. Hiding her anger, she said, "Very good," and then cried loudly, "My faithful servants grind the wheat." From nowhere 3 pairs of hands appeared. They took the wheat and vanished. Baba Yaga ate the supper and said to Vasilisa, "Tomorrow you must do the same tasks, and then you must go to the storeroom and sort out the dirt from the poppy seed." Next morning, Baba Yaga again rode off in her mortar. Vasilisa, with the help of her doll, finished the tasks. In the evening, the old woman came back and checked everything over. 3 pairs of hands appeared. They took the bin of poppy seed and vanished. Baba Yaga sat down to eat. "Why do you sit there so quiet and still?" she asked Vasilisa. "I'm afraid to speak," said Vasilisa. "Would you mind if I asked you some questions?" "Ask if you want," said Baba. "But remember that not every question has a good answer." Vasilisa hesitated and then spoke. "On my way here, I saw a white horseman. Who was he?" "That was my bright day," answered Baba Yaga. Vasilisa continued. "Then I saw a red horseman. Who was he?" "That was my red sun," answered Baba. "And then a black horseman overtook me whilst I was standing outside your gate. Who was he?" "That was my black midnight," answered Baba Yaga. "These horsemen are my faithful servants. Have you any further questions?" Vasilisa remembered the 3 pairs of hands, but remained quiet. "Now I have a question for you. How have you managed to carry out all the work so quickly?" Vasilisa replied, "My mother's blessing helped me." "I knew it," said Baba Yaga. "You'd better be gone. I will not have people with blessings in my home." With that, the old woman pushed Vasilisa out of the hut and through the gate. Then she took one of the skulls, stuck it on the end of a stick, and gave it to the girl, saying, "Here's a light for your stepmother and her daughters. That's what you came here for, isn't it?" Walked all day, and by the evening she reached her home. As she approached the gates, she was about to throw away the skull. Suddenly she heard a muffled voice say, "You must keep me. Your stepmother and her daughters have need of me." The girl carried the skull into the house, and as she entered, the skull fixed its eyes on the stepmother and her 2 daughters. Its eyes burnt them like fire. They tried to hide, but the piercing eyes followed them and never let them out of their sight. By morning, nothing was left of the three women except 3 heaps of ash on the floor. Vasilisa was unharmed. She buried the skull in the garden and went to find shelter in the nearest town. Here she lodged with an old woman. One day, the old woman gave Vasilisa some flax. With it, Vasilisa spun the most beautiful thread, so fine it was like hair. Then she weaved the thread into the most exquisite cloth. It was brilliant white, soft, and so beautiful. Vasilisa gave it to the old woman and said, "Grandmother, you have been so kind to me. Sell this cloth and keep the money." The old woman looked at it and said, "My child, this is too fine to sell. I'm going to take it to the Tsar." So she brought it to the Tsar as a gift. The Tsar thanked the old woman and gave her many presents before sending her home. Impressed with the beautiful cloth, the Tsar tried to find someone who could make shirts from it. However, all the tailors declined the work, as the cloth was too fine for them to handle. In the end, the Tsar called the old woman and said, "You must also know how to sew the cloth as you made it." The old woman replied, "No, your majesty. It was not my work. It was done by a girl I took in." The Tsar asked the old woman to see if Vasilisa would make the garments. She made the shirts, and the old woman took them to the Tsar. As she waited for the old woman to return, one of the Tsar's servants entered. He said loudly, "His Majesty wishes to see the needlewoman who has made his wonderful clothes." So Vasilisa went in to the palace, and the Tsar and Vasilisa were captivated by each other, and eventually they married. When Vasilisa's father returned, they invited both him and the old woman to come and live at the palace. Also at the palace was the little doll. Vasilisa carried it around in her pocket until the day she died. Yeah, no. Oh, wait, he's back. Yeah. Comedic timing for real, Ludo. He came back out of nowhere and was like, "Oh, my wife, my 2 stepdaughters are dead. I'm going to live in the palace with the Tsar and my daughter." He really came back and is living life now. Yeah, no, this again, very Cinderella-y. Bit different, obviously. Yeah. But very interesting interpretation of Baba Yaga. Sometimes she helps. Sometimes she never really breaks a deal if you actually do it. But she does try to get the deal to be a little too hard, you know? She tries to get you to accept a deal that's a little impossible. Yeah, more death but less blood. No eating children in this particular one. I guess she was a child, when she was going to Baba Yaga. Yeah, it is very Rumpelstiltskin as well. Yeah, I agree.
Yes. Yeah.
But yes, that is one of the most popular Baba Yaga stories. Vasilisa the Beautiful.
I liked that one.
Yeah. It was harder to find written stories for her because a lot of hers were oral traditions or carvings or illustrations mostly, whereas Kashe has a lot of written down stories. And there's been a ton of modern Baba Yaga fairy tale stories, but I wanted to find one that was not modern. I wanted to find one that was one of the older ones, the first ones, whatever. But there's a ton of modern folklorists, modern storytellers who have made their own renditions of Baba Yaga. She's super popular in the folklorist scene, especially with the women. Especially the women folklorists and historians. They're all over Baba Yaga.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yes, that is my Baba Yaga spiel.
Like the Baba Yaga.
Did you?
I was gonna say, when you first said the name, I
Oh yeah, Baba Yaga's popular.
Recognize the name.
Yeah. She's a popular character in fairy tales. She's been in video games, TV shows, movies as like either as a horror like villain or creature or whatever, or she was also
Yeah, that
in
makes sense.
John Wick. John Wick. There's a Baba
You
Yaga
know, I've never
character.
seen those movies.
Really?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of
Baba Yaga's
where.
in Spirited Away.
Oh, that's why!
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, how do I know this?
Yeah, you
That's
probably know it from Spirited Away.
why!
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yup.
like fantasy supernatural anime, movie or TV shows that have a Baba Yaga character or Baba Yaga like character. Cuz she's very, witch in the hut in the woods eating children. That's her vibe. So,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Spirited Away. I was like, I know that name! That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
That makes
she's the
sense.
one with the really big nose. That's another characteristic of Baba
Yeah.
Yaga. Her nose is so long it hits the roof of her house so she can sniff out children or the humans.
You know what I thought was funny? Because
Mhm.
you said that, like, what, she smelled like humans
Yeah.
or whatever?
Yeah.
And, like, in the first one I read, the giant smelt Christian blood.
Christian blood. I smell that Christian. Baba Yaga also
It's so
kind of
funny.
reminds me of that character from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the child hunter.
Oh.
Because they have a really long nose to sniff out the kids, and I wonder if that's kind of inspired
Where,
by
like,
Baba Yaga.
inspiration?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very Baba Yaga esque.
Interesting.
That little
I love
weirdo
that.
freaked me out as a kid. I was terrified of that long nosed weirdo. I love Chitty Chitty Bang Bang Ludo. Toot sweet, toot sweet. Da, 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 da. I actually read the books last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There was like the kids like stopped a bank heist group in one of the books.
Dang.
Yeah. You gotta read the Wizard of Oz books too. They're so good.
I want to read the Wizard of Oz books.
I love reading old middle grade like books. Old kids books are just so fun and wacky. They're so wacky.
Did you ever read American Girl doll books?
I didn't. No. I read those. You remember our elementary school? We had like I don't remember what they were called. It was all like American history. I
don't.
Let me see what
I don't know.
Oh, they're not American Girl doll. These ones. They're the Dear America book series. And they were all journals from young women from different periods of history, different cultures, different countries, and it was like their story within that historical like time. So it was like Dear America, the diary of like a Native American girl or an immigrant, a Jewish immigrant.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to read those all the time. We had all of them at our elementary school library. I was obsessed with those. Those were
I never read them, but I recognize it. Yeah.
They're very similar to American Girl because American Girl also does emphasize a lot of like about the historical pieces, at least in the older ones.
Yeah.
Not so much in the modern ones, but
yeah.
I think I read one because I read the book that was about the one that my mom got me. Because
Which one did you have?
I had one because when I got one, there weren't really any like American Girl dolls that were like of color or like Hispanic or anything. So the only one that there was, I think, available either at the time or in the specific store, she got me a It was Hawaiian, a Hawaiian American Girl. She had like a boat
Oh.
with her, and she had like this orange little tank top. I think her name's Jessie or something.
I need to look this up. Huh. I had the original Samantha doll.
Oh yeah,
and her
I
cousin
technically had
Nellie.
Samantha and Kirsten or whatever her name is, because my sisters had those too, but they weren't really mine. I was just playing with them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. A Hawaiian American Girl with an orange tank top.
Still have her somewhere.
Nane. I don't know how to say her name. Yeah, Nane. Yeah. They have a second Hawaiian one, it looks like, that was released in 2011.
I have no idea if that was the one I had. I just know she had a boat. She had a boat, and she was cool.
Love that.
Yeah. Let me see. American Girl doll with a boat. This one.
I remember
Jess McConnell, 2006. Name was Jess.
Oh,
it was Jess.
Okay.
I can't believe I remembered that. What the heck?
Let's see. Oh, she's cute.
Yeah. Yeah, no. She was awesome. Yeah, so she was
only available
half
for
Japanese and half Irish.
She was only available for 1 year.
That's and I got her. I have her. She's upstairs somewhere.
Dude, her doll in the box is worth like $1,500.
Damn. That's crazy. Yeah, no, I have her. And I have her boat too. And the little new. I think I lost one of her shoes though. You know, my mom got me this one because of the outfit. She said it looked very like Hispanic to her. And she had her hair in braids, so.
Yeah. Aww. That's probably why I don't know her. She was only out for a year. That's crazy.
That was my only American Girl doll that I got, like, for myself, personally. All the other ones were my sisters, or, I think my mom had one. Yeah.
That's so
that was
cool.
my doll.
Aw, I love that. I loved having Samantha because she's a brunette, like me.
Yeah.
And then I loved her cousin Nellie because Nellie figure skated like I did.
Yeah.
And I love that they were cousins and in each other's like movies. So
remember Kit?
Yes, I loved Kit.
Yeah, so did I.
Oh my god. Kit was I loved her movie too. Her movie was like one of my favorites. Oh, did you hear? Apparently they're doing like sequels for the American Girl dolls where they're in their like 20s.
Really? That's fun. I love that.
Like it's like a journal of them in their 20s, and I think Samantha is the first one they're doing. And depending on how that goes, obviously will depend on if they do more. What is it called? Let me see. Let me see. Oh, I should have put American Girl doll. Just Samantha in her 20s does not.
Yeah, no, that does not work.
That doesn't do anything. Let's see.
Yes, Lila did figure skate Ludo for a long time.
Yeah, I have a messed up back from it. From a competition. Ugh. Okay, I don't know what they're calling the series, but I don't. Okay, I don't think it's like out yet.
Mm.
Um.
We'll have to keep an eye on it. Keep an
Oh,
eye on it.
Samantha, the next chapter.
Oh,
Samantha,
okay.
the next chapter. And let's see. Oh, maybe it is out. Wait, hold on. Oh, she's educating women about suffrage. Let's go,
Oh,
Samantha.
Samantha. We love her.
Oh, it's coming out in October
Oh.
of this year.
You know what would be a fun episode? American Girl doll as just like a
That would
company.
be
All the different characters, we could get into like a few of their backstories, their
the
yeah.
racist stuff in Felicity's
Yes!
story.
Yes. Okay, I'm putting it in the ideas
Okay.
thing so we don't forget.
Bro, I loved
American
Felicity too.
Girl
I didn't really
doll.
know about like the racial stuff of it until like very recently because I haven't like watched the movie or anything like that in so long. But they just played off that the slaves that her family owned weren't slaves.
Interesting.
So,
All right, well, look out for the future American Girl doll episode, guys.
love
did you
that.
have? Did you want to go over your honorable mentions, or did you want to do the?
No, because we could probably save these ones.
Yeah, for like a whole other episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a comment here.
Okay.
There we go. I made a comment. That was fun. I can't believe we haven't done this sooner.
Yeah. And there's so much
like
more to do with this one. I mean, all of them, we have so much more to do. Eventually we're going to have to do repeats to like go over some more.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's just, this fairy tale site, this is so nice. I love that you can do, like, Audible stuff on it, too. Big shout out to them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Pretty sure there's, like, a Nordic Little Mermaid, too.
Ooh.
So, that would be interesting.
Time.
Ooh! They have full-length novels including Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Wizard of Oz, and Wind in the Willows. I've never heard of Wind in the Willows. The Little Mermaid is originally Danish. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's see. Wind in the Willows. Oh, I've seen the picture of this with the frog before. I don't remember the story, though. There's a mole, a badger, a toad, and I don't know what that is. A water vole? Oh, water rat. Okay. Huh. I don't remember the story, but I definitely recognize the picture, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was fun! I like that.
Yes! Alright. Let me know when you're ready.
From frostbitten fjords to fire-lit sagas, the stories of Nordic and Icelandic mythology reminds us that the world was always more magical, strange, and mysterious than it seems.
Nordic and Slavic, not Icelandic. And diving into these myths and folklore shows us how people tried to make sense of the world, the natural, the supernatural, and everything in between.
Thanks so much for joining us on this journey into monsters, gods, and ancient tales.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an adventure.
You can also join our Discord to connect with the community.
And follow us all on our social media. Links are in the description. Goodbye, because it's 5 seconds until the raid. Thank you for coming.
Bye.
Goodbye.